What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metalcore podcast. I'm your host, Sean Mott. In today's episode, we have Steven from 197 Media. If you're in the hardcore and metalcore community, you see his live set all over the place. He goes to a ton of fests, ton of shows, and documents them on film. One of the best live show content creators out there, hands down. Today, we sat down and chatted about AEW Double or Nothing from this weekend. Super glad we got to nerd out about wrestling for a few hours. This one is super fun. There's really only one news topic from this week, and that is that the Snyder Cut of Justice League is coming to HBO Max next year. There's a lot of rumors floating around of what could happen, if it's going to be a 4-hour movie or a 6-part miniseries. Whatever it is, I'm so excited to see Scott's original vision for this movie. I'm not the biggest fan of the Justice League we got, so super excited to see what happens with this. Let's get in some wrestling talk with Steven, 197. Steven, what's up, man?
What's going on, dude? How are you?
I'm good, man. Like we said before, this doesn't really feel like a 3-day weekend, but it is. It kind of just feels like another day.
I haven't gotten to go into a pool at all this weekend yet, and I'm still pretty pissed about it.
How warm is it over there?
I think it was supposed to be like upwards of 90 today, I think.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's been like mid 80s this week, and it's been getting pretty warm too.
Yeah.
It says 88, so give or take 90.
Yeah, it's been like 80-ish over here on the East Coast, which has been nice.
You guys have that humidity out there too, though, don't you?
Yeah, so it's honestly, it might be about the same where we are, because I remember when I was out there last summer, everyone was like, man, you picked a bad week to come. And I'm like, yo, I live in upstate New York. I was like, this is nothing. There's no humidity. I was like wearing pants, and I was like, this is fine. I was like, this is great. I love this.
Dude, I never got to experience New York humidity, but I've gone to some bad areas too, like parts of Texas, like Southwest area. Like it can get wild.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere in the East Coast that has the same problem, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially if it rains in the middle of the day, it gets like you can't even breathe outside almost. It's like it sucks the air out of outside.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, it's weird though, as a Californian, like we don't get that out here. So when that happens, it's actually an exciting thing of like, I love it. I love the rain in general. It's like, this shouldn't be happening, but here it is. This is sick.
Yeah, I know. We get too much of it and you guys get barely none.
Yeah, none at all. But then again, like, I don't know. People can't drive out here when it rains, man. It's a nightmare.
Oh, I believe that. It happens like that in the South, because it's funny, because I had so many friends from high school, and upstate New York, it's crazy. We get, feet and feet of snow. It's fucking insane. And a lot of them went south for like college or whatever, and they'd get like 1 inch, and they don't have the equipment like snowplows and stuff to take care of the road. So it becomes a state of emergency, and it's like crazy for like 1 inch of snow,
That's crazy.
Yeah, thinking about it, and he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm used to this. This is nothing. He's like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Just all backwards at that point, like.
Yeah, obviously you film shows live, so this whole pandemic has to be crazy for you, right?
It's kind of thrown everything around, to say the least. It's kind of weird not having anything to actively go out and do in terms of filming shows. But even just with releases and everything, my work, I'm still working in the medical industry. They shifted everything to working from home, and with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, work just picked up so much. So it's just like, it just feels like nonstop some days. Like other days, it's not very bad at all. But like going from that, like with work being so busy, it's even kind of put a dent into like releasing things on a more regular basis. So picking it back up though, quarantine, this whole pandemic, quarantine, everything, like it's a weird time for for everything in music right now, you included,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was wondering how your work was affecting releasing stuff. Like, I was like, oh, are you getting caught up on editing sets you've been trying to work on and stuff?
It almost working from home has made it harder, as weird as that is to say, because at least from when I was working in an office, sitting in a cubicle all day, like that's no big deal. It was exciting to come home and go to my computer desk and sit down and edit. Like that's my night. That sounds like a good night to me. Now it's coming from sitting. I have my work from home station set up in the garage and everything. So I'm coming from my garage into where I have my computer set up, it's like that's just a few feet away, and it's going from staring at one computer screen to another. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's an adjustment, kind of.
No, yeah. I mean, I totally get that. I mean, I work from home anyway, so it's kind of weird. It's now I just have way less work than I'm used to. Hence why I started things like this podcast and everything. But
Yeah,
I can totally understand that. You know, it was like almost you coming home and that's your like escape, or you know, like a reward for working all day. And instead now it's you're there all day anyway, and then it's like you're just doing the same. It almost feels like you're doing work instead of doing what you love to do. You know what I mean? So that makes total sense.
exactly. It's all overall just a giant just adjustment, you know.
Yeah.
Even like for beyond myself, like getting audio, I know the engineer Michael Scott, he helped me with doing all of LDB, and this quarantine has just had him up to his eyes and like extra workload. So, you know, it's all kind of just trickling down one step after another, you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah, we had a full schedule written out for like releases and everything, and at this point we're taking it almost one video at a time here of like let's get this out, what can we get out, go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
So,
people get stoked every time you release one of those videos. So
I mean, I don't know, because the first thing I ever see from people when I release these videos is knock loose.
oh man,
Like, dude, come
Of
on! Like, this
course.
video just got put up 5 minutes ago, and you're already asking, like, stop, leave it alone.
Yeah, I guess there's always going to be those people, no matter what, no matter
Dude,
what it is, whether it's anything pop culture or live video sets from fests or shows. Of course, there are those guys.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, I don't know. Going back to those LDB videos have been so much fun.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, just like reliving it and being like, yeah,
Just reliving it and kind of just really like getting lost in it again. Of just like almost kind of imagining like I can remember everything clearly.
Right.
And I don't know. It just kind of takes me back. Like, man, no stress. This was such a fun time. And it's a good little escape a little bit without trying to get too quarantine corny here. But like,
no,
yeah.
not at all. That's awesome. That's great.
You know, I feel weird sometimes. So like even talking to my roommate when he'll come out in the garage sometimes, and like I'll be watching one of my own videos. Like, I don't care if that's corny. Like, I don't know. I miss it. You know.
That's not corny at all, man. You can appreciate your own work. You put hard work into it, you know, and you're good at it. So appreciating it is just part of the game, you know.
I appreciate the kind words, sir.
Oh, of course. And I was speaking about me being in LA last summer, and that's when we met. We met at a show in Pomona. I booked Go Ski and Distinguisher, and they played PBW in Pomona, and you were there, and we chatted about like hardcore and metalcore and corgis.
Dude,
and it was just an awesome chat, honestly. Yeah, like I didn't expect you were even going to be there and to like chat with you outside for like 20 minutes or whatever it was. It was awesome. It was really cool.
That was one of those, like, it's always weird how it's just like I guess I could say like out of pocket shows, things that I normally, you know, that don't always cross my radar, are like, oh, that's one I'm definitely going to, you know, like not accepting any other plans around it. Like, no, I'm busy that day. You know what I mean? Those shows in particular, though, those ones always end up being like, I don't know, something very good comes from it, whether it just like comes from meeting like a good friend or just even making the face-to-face connection. I think it was Austin that had got me out to that show because ironically enough, the last year at LDB, him and I had met over social media. There was something that got posted and somebody was getting ripped apart, and he was a good person and came to her defense and everything. And like through that became friends, and it all just kind of trickled down. Like, I don't know. It's funny how that all works out, you know?
Yeah, it is wild how that stuff works out.
Yeah, through those out of pocket shows, like, I don't know. I think I've met like some of like my favorite friends, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was, like I said, it was super awesome talking to you. And then as soon as I started the podcast, you hit me up and was like, yo, let me come on and talk wrestling. And I'm like, yes, of course.
Well, dude, this is awesome. Like, you're doing what you enjoy. Like, and you know, I know how much you love wrestling just as much as myself. We've DM'd a few times. I think when we were like waiting of like, when is who's going to be the Exalted One? When is Brody Lee coming? I think we were trying to figure out like, is it going to be Matt Hardy or is it going to be Brody Lee? And here we are now.
They did such a good job of fucking with us about that.
Dude, it was such a sick build-up. Like, it almost kind of took me back like to the old days of like, I just remember like the coolest build-up, the one that had me the most confused as a kid that was when I roughly started getting into wrestling too. Was when the whole Y2J Millennium when he
Oh
defected over from
shit.
WCW, and like that whole build up to it, was just like, this is so sick. This is so interactive
Yeah.
now. Like, I loved it. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, and even though you kind of knew it was either Brody Lee or Matt Hardy, you still didn't know which one, and they kept giving you clues that could have obviously been Matt Hardy or obviously been Brody Lee, and it's so hard to be surprised in wrestling nowadays. You know what I mean? Because everything leaks.
I was even ready for that curveball because of everything leaking. I don't know if you if you're on Reddit or anything paying attention to the wrestling stuff.
No, I don't do the Reddit stuff, honestly.
Dude, Reddit is a dumpster fire 9 times out of 10, but there's this actual pretty cool sub on there called, I think it's like Squared Circle.
Oh, okay. I think
I've
heard of it.
Yeah, like I don't know. Take it for what it is. It's still Reddit at the end of the day. But somehow some wild people on the internet through that found out that one of the silhouette promos that they did was Raven.
Oh shit.
And
wow.
I don't even know how they dissected everything or what they did, like, but yeah, somehow they confirmed at one point or another. And I mean, I could be wrong too, but like that Raven was one of the people that did it. And correct me if I'm wrong, does Raven work with AEW?
He was at like right when that buildup was happening, he was in the crowd, invisibly in like a segment where it went in the crowd.
It was that, and they didn't even necessarily broadcast that Raven was there. He's just there.
He was just there. Yeah, exactly. Which made it kind of weird too. We're like, Raven's there, and they did, because usually they bring that shit up. They're like, oh yeah, Raven or whatever, Yeah, so I was like, that was weird. They didn't bring attention to it. So yeah, I remember
nonchalant.
Yeah, I remember people speculating that it could have been him too.
Honestly, yeah, I don't even think I'd have been like terribly upset over that. I'm glad they went with somebody that's not past their prime, I guess you could say. Matt Hardy and Brody Lee. I like what he's doing. Like, I love the Dark Order. It was kind of weird at first, but overall, like, that's actually become one of my favorite things of AEW.
Yeah, they did the work and fixed what people were complaining about and made it a really cool thing. The only thing I'm kind of whatever about is his kind of whole like suit and tie thing. I kind of wish it was less funny in a way, because some of the stuff is just like a little too funny, and I kind of wish it was like more like dark cult kind of thing, but it's still early in it, so it's kind of hard to tell. And it sucks that Stu Grayson and Evil Uno are from Canada, so they can't be at any of these shows, obviously, because they can't leave Canada, which sucks. But
so I haven't been following that bit of information as closely. I've been kind of wondering where they were at. Like, we got the Exalted One. What happened here? I wasn't aware that they were.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, they closed the border. I'm like kind of close to Canada. I'm only a few hours away, and I where I grew up was like half hour away from Canada. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they closed those borders, so you can't even though it's right there, they can't even come over. It's the same with Pentagon is in Mexico, and that's why he hasn't been there, because he lives in Mexico City. So
that makes sense. I wasn't aware. I don't know how that even passed my mind, that I didn't take the border closures into consideration for that.
I mean, it's an easy thing to forget about, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't affect you at all. So like, why would
it's just things you don't think about, like, I don't know, just being a citizen here already.
So you mentioned the Y2K thing. Is that what got you into wrestling, or what got you into wrestling as a whole?
I think Y2K still came a little bit after. I don't remember the specifics or how it even necessarily went down, but one night, I think both my parents were getting ready to go to bed, and I was hanging out in the room with them, and my dad flipped on Raw, and I don't remember if it was like at the start of the war between WCW and WWF, or if it was just like right before. But somewhere right in there, I remember Billy Gunn. I remember Kane. Like, wow. It was all just an experience. Like, and it all just kind of went from there. I think I stopped watching for a little while, or not even a little while, quite a while. Once John Cena started to get into like the main event picture, I tuned out for a little while there. And then around senior year of high school, I started to get right back into it. I feel like I kind of skipped most of the highlights of the Ruthless Aggression era, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I left probably right as that stuff started coming along, and I kind of missed all of the really bad like stuff that came after that. Like
Yeah.
I love Miz, not Miz now, but Miz like a couple years ago when he was like really doing the thing, when he was like really he was like such a great promo and he was putting on pretty good matches and everything. But like when
Yeah.
he was champion and he like shouldn't have been champion, I missed all that. And then CM Punk is the one who got me back into wrestling
Okay,
because
nice.
I'm straight edge. And then I heard Straight Edge Wrestler and I watched his documentary and I was like, this is fucking sick. I used to watch wrestling. I loved like the Hardy Boys and DX, Stone Cold, all that shit. So that's what got me back in like 2009 or 10 or something, whenever the fuck that was.
Dude, CM Punk, yeah, actually, one of my friends, that was kind of what got me to start watching regularly again, was somebody showing me
Yep.
CM Punk. And it just came up in a discussion of hardcore and everything. It's like, that's sick. Kind of just went from there, CM Punk.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of his run. That pipe bomb was just like, yeah, that one's legendary.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%. Since CM Punk got me back in, I've always been a big CM Punk fan. Like a part of me always just wished that he would come back, and I was like really hoping he would have ended up doing something with AEW because that would have like I obviously changed the landscape a lot. You know, if a dude like CM Punk came to AEW, you know, but
yeah,
I know he's doing the backstage thing, which is whatever. That show kind of sucks.
I mean, it definitely sucks. I think it's almost funny of just like he's back in WWE as not as a WWE employee
Yeah.
itself, like by Fox.
No, yeah,
like,
he technically works for Fox, not WWE, which is weird.
It's funny. I don't know. I'm glad. I'm glad he's kind of stuck to it because didn't he say like he's not coming back?
Yeah, that's what he said. Obviously, there was like a ton of speculation, like, oh, he's with backstage. He's definitely gonna do a WWE run now, and it seems like it's just not gonna happen.
I mean, I don't know. All the nostalgia runs at this point. Granted, CM Punk's still not a full like nostalgia act yet. Like
He's still pretty old, yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's past its point of like being the hottest thing. Like there's so many good superstars on their roster to where it's just like that should be the last match that you're really trying to hype up as a main event somehow.
Yeah, even Edge, which I didn't watch the Rumble live, but I watched it like the next day, and obviously I saw all the videos on Twitter of him returning, and that shit was, I was like, man, that's so cool. The dude got forced to retire in his prime.
Yep.
And just even the look on his face, like you could tell how emotional he was, and like it got me like teary-eyed and shit. Stuff like that always makes me emotional, and I was like, man, that is so fucking cool. And then he had that match with Randy Orton that was like very whatever, like the most whatever match, which kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, I can't say I was a fan of that feud or necessarily the direction they went right after that, but like if we're just going to focus on the Royal Rumble part, like, oh my God, I was watching that live and just like in pure disbelief of just like, it happened. Oh my God.
Yeah. That moment will go down as like a top.
I have chills right now talking about that. Like I can just,
same.
After watching that 24/7 documentary or the 24 or whatever they call it, that just like that was nail in the coffin. Like I'm just watching that, like trying to not let it get the best of me, but like, oh my God, it was so sick to watch.
Yeah, that was so fucking cool. I was like, at that point, I was like checked out of WWE. I like didn't watch regularly. I barely watched the pay-per-views, and pretty much starting this podcast, only watch pay-per-views. I loosely follow on Twitter, but you don't really need to follow the week-to-week product. It's all fucking bullshit anyway. So
at this point, I just with WWE, man, I just watch. I look up. Part of like my routines in the morning is I'll look up the Bleacher Report results and kind of see what's what. I don't know why, but I always feel like they give pretty like fair assessments to the matches, at least where I usually stand on it. So I just run with them.
Yeah, I used to listen to there's this podcast called Post Wrestling, and they give super awesome recaps of Raw, SmackDown, every pay-per-view. But they do AEW now, but now I only listen to their AEW recaps pretty much. I'll listen to the WWE pay-per-view recaps sometimes now that I'm like doing it for the podcast and watching the pay-per-views. Yeah. But I used to listen to the Raw and SmackDown ones every week, and there was even points where you could tell that they just don't really care for it. There's always spots they like. They're not super negative, but they're just like, they've even said, if this wasn't our job, we probably would not be watching this, you know? And if they're saying that, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I could feel that one. I mean, they're just doing it because it's part of what they got to cover, I guess.
Yeah.
Just sitting through it. Not everything's always going to be golden. I mean,
No.
same even goes for AEW. Like, dude, no shots at the women division that they have, but like those first early ones were just, it was rough.
Yeah, they're starting to pick up steam, but it's still definitely the weak point of AEW for sure.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's starting to get much better than where it was, but it's got some time to grow still.
Yeah. So obviously we're talking about AEW Double or Nothing. Happened last night. Well, this is going to come out tomorrow, but whatever. Who cares? Time is irrelevant. Did you watch the kickoff?
I did watch. No. I only saw the highlights of the kickoff.
Okay, so it was just one match. It was Private Party versus Best Friends, #1 contendership match for the tag team titles. It was a pretty good match. I mean, it would kind of be hard for these two teams to have a bad match. The biggest criticism before was that why does Private Party in a #1 contender match? But I guess they are ranked number 3. Dark Order is ranked number 1, but like I said before, the whole Canadian border thing, they can't be here. I'm sure that would have been a part of the whole thing, Dark Order trying to get the tag titles and Brody Lee going for the AEW title. But it was a solid match. The teams had really good chemistry. Private Party's tag team moves, some of them are so nuts. There was one where Private Party had him like clutched on his knees with his back facing, and one of them got on top of Trent's back and then did a shooting star press on top of him off his back.
God.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then they have this other move where one's holding a camel clutch and the other one leapfrogs over and double stomps them. It's like they're so good. I'm glad they picked them up and made them like a known team because they are sick.
I mean, maybe it's not having my feet wet enough in wrestling, but like coming from being really tired of WWE, because right before AEW came about, I was starting to get to the point of like, maybe I've just completely maybe I've grown out of this.
Right.
It happens. People grow up. And then AEW came around. It's like, no, I'm not growing out of this. This is actually super sick. AEW has more time. Like, they've actually had I've gasped before multiple times at some of their shows of like, oh my God, are they hurt? Just so many times. And it's just like, I think to myself, that doesn't happen in WWE anymore.
Not really.
It's crazy to really think though, like, is he hurt? Like, without going into the pay-per-view card, last one I think was the Sammy Guevara golf cart hit. There was no cushioning that head hit. Like, you look at it, it's like, is he okay? Like, really? Like, is he okay?
Yeah, that was such a nuts spot, and he like jumped into it too to to make it look more insane.
Oh my God,
he's a psycho, dude.
Just some of those spots, it's just like, I don't know. I've never really I can't recall questioning watching any modern WWE of like, is he okay? Was everything all right there? Was that botched?
I think that really the only thing would be probably NXT that would have came close to it, because they've had some spots where you're like, whoa. What the fuck? Not anymore. Them moving to USA definitely watered down the product, and they tried to come out way too hard. Like the first show on USA was pretty much a takeover card, and you can't do that because some people kind of criticize AEW TV, and I'm like, no, they take the time, they build the stories. Not every episode is perfect, but pretty much since the beginning of the year, a lot of them have been very, very good, and they'll put on good matches, but they save the incredible shit for the pay-per-view, which is you should do. You should build up and then have the best matches at the pay-per-view. You don't want to blow your wad on TV. Like, you want to give quality product, but NXT was just coming out like, yeah, we're just going to put on takeovers every week. And it lasted for like a month. And then everyone was like, we can't do this shit every night. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Just writing like at full speed, the best possible scenario or matches and stories that they could. Like, yeah, no, you can't do that on a regular basis. And I agree. Like, NXT really was trying to go like super hard at first. And I'm almost kind of glad that they did kind of slow it down a little bit and give more time to let everything else shine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, AEW stayed the course. They're like, no, we're not going to change just because they're on, they're competing right against us. Like, we're going to do what we plan to do. We're not going to be reactionary to the quote unquote competition or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, in terms of AEW getting better too, like as you said, like, dude, the audio was always like a consistent problem, and I didn't always mind it as much as others when I'd see like the live reading or live posts on that Reddit thread I was telling you about, the squared circle. Some people would put it into oblivion, but like it's actually gotten so much better, and sometimes like you can tell when everything is like on the dot, like everything's done perfectly. It was a perfectly executed show.
Yeah, I know there was like a lot of production criticisms when they first started, especially before they went to TV and they were just doing the pay-per-view events. They did the first few before they went to TV in the fall. But it's at the same time, they're a brand new company. They're learning this shit, which is hilarious because as soon as the empty arena stuff coming out, they were doing it way better than WWE was. They stole the hard camera shot from the entrances from AEW. WB didn't steal this, but they started putting, competitors in the crowd to make it. It's not the same as a live crowd. Obviously, you can't have 30 people and compare it to thousands of people. It's just not gonna add up. But it gives a more organic element to it, even if it's just a little bit. It makes a big difference for sure.
Dude, all right, I still want to say this is all biasness set aside here, but AEW for sure does empty arenas way better than WWE. With you saying copying certain things, I mean, I guess one company sets the template first, and you can kind of build from it and go from there. But I don't know. I mean, even with Double or Nothing, I was really curious of not that it's extremely different from what the weekly television shows are, but I was kind of curious, how does a pay-per-view go with an empty arena?
Right.
And honestly, I feel like they did. In a nerdy, it kind of works on a podcast like this, in a nerdy aspect of it all. It felt like they had really good mic placement with it because the crowd sounded huge at certain points to where I almost forgot that it's just the cast themselves there. And on a side note there too, with having, the entire roster out there, whomever's out there, they're all a lively bunch. It's they're not necessarily breaking character or breaking kayfabe, but it almost looks like a party out there. They're having a good time.
Yeah, it does.
Even Billy Gunn, you can always see Billy Gunn chilling with his kid.
Yeah.
It's cool. I dig it. It's an interesting thing there.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. But there's only one more note. Private Party hit the G9, which is Crime Time's finisher, which Chad Gaspar, who unfortunately they found out who passed this week, it was a tribute to him. So that was super cool. And the announcers made it prevalent and everything. And they did do a tribute to him later in the show, which was very, very cool. And another side note, Tony Khan donated $10,000 to his the GoFundMe for his family and stuff, which is super fucking cool. I think Cody donated $1,000 himself too.
Tony Khan is somebody that just continues to amaze me. I don't know, just as a businessman, his love for wrestling and everything and the culture all around it, even the way he treats his talent, it's just, he's a perfect example of leading by example,
100%. Yeah, he is. Everything I've listened to him being on podcasts or watching interviews or whatever, I'm just this dude is a stand-up guy, and he just loves wrestling, and he found the right group of people to do this with. And, obviously he has a ton of tools to make this stuff very, very legit, especially out of the gate. This company's been around for technically kind of a year-ish, because Double or Nothing was their first real show. And that was it was a year ago, but they haven't even been on TV. They've been on TV half a year,
Yeah, it kind of took me back without going into the match details. But when Jon Moxley came out for his match, and he went, how he always does his random spot entrances and everything, and he went and climbed up on top of those chips again to an empty arena still. But it was just oh shit, that was a year ago. This is this is the anniversary. That's crazy.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's been forever. I think it's because they build stories so well, and so much stuff has happened since then. It feels like it's been so much longer when it really hasn't at all.
The build up with Jon Moxley too, I loved it. I love that he wasn't the immediate in the title picture and everything. I loved his feud with Kenny Omega. To be where he's
the hardcore one?
What were they call it? Lights Out Unsanctioned match?
Yeah, where they did it after the card.
Even the kayfabe on it, though, just where Jon Moxley is freaking out because Tony Khan supposedly told him, this can't be a sanctioned match.
Yeah, it was great.
I loved every bit of that one. That one was one, especially revisiting really quickly, of where I questioned, did they get hurt? That one was a big one.
Oh, the barbed wire spot? There's
so many of the spots. Yeah. Gosh, some of that just looked really painful.
Yeah, that was nuts. Even even in his hardcore match with Joey Janela, I don't think I've ever seen this in wrestling ever, when he took his boot off and then, slammed him with his foot on the thumbtacks. I was like, what?
I'm cringing in pain just like because I actually just showed my roommate Jesse that the other day, and he's just the look on his face was just like, yes, this is it. That's exactly where I was just like jaw drop, like, oh my god, I can't even fathom that type of like.
Oh my god.
No.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Dude, that was just so hard to watch. I think my wife was watching live too. She was watching that one with me and was just like, she was over it. That was enough.
That's funny.
It's funny, like every like big event that she's watched with me, or that I can get her to watch with me, anything really wrestling related, as of late at least, it's the pay-per-views where Jon Moxley has just gone all out, like just everything's just a disaster. It's like, yeah, this is pretty sick, huh?
Yeah, my wife hates wrestling. She was like playing Animal Crossing while I was on yesterday, and she's like, you paid $50 to watch half-naked dudes slap each other in the chest. And I'm like, yes, I did. You're right.
She paid $60 to watch flowers grow and sell plants.
That's true. It's funny because she's like, this is coming from a person who picks up trees and fruits for fake animals. And I'm like, well, you like what you like.
And no diss at Animal Crossing. I actually just started getting into that too. But
it's pretty dope, honestly.
Honestly, like, it's one of those things, like, after spending that, like, I'm in no position to give anybody financial judgment right now.
Nope, not at all. And that's fine.
Exactly.
But yeah, it ended with Best Friends winning, and they've been on a roll. It makes sense. So they'll face Kenny Omega. And
I'm excited to see what if Best Friends were to become tag team champions. I would be excited to see Orange Cassidy along with that. I was actually kind of ruined. Like, somehow it's like I love Orange Cassidy where he's at, but like if he won that casino ladder match, could you imagine the pop on him versus Jon Moxley and doing his kicks, even though there'd be no crowd, but I could just imagine the entire arena melting over that. Like,
speaking of the casino ladder match, that kicked off the main card, which had Orange Cassidy, Colt Cabana, Joey Janela, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sapien, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, Darby Allin, and a mystery competitor, which we'll get to as we go through this. But before I get into the beginning, Orange Cassidy coming out and him not knowing the rules and them explaining that Tony Khan had to explain it to him hundreds of times or whatever was amazing. Him not being able to figure out how to put up the ladder. It was incredible. I loved it.
Dude, I love everything that they do with Orange Cassidy. Like, he's somebody that, again, I wasn't too like hyper aware of the indies or anything like that. So Orange Cassidy is actually completely new to me.
Yeah, he's
over the last year, but it's just like the more it's just like this is the greatest character they have, and this is like it's just a gimmick character. This is so sick.
It's so great. If you like explain to someone who's a wrestling fan, they'd probably be like, "Why the fuck would you think that was good?" And it's like, no, just watch it. And then they're like, "Okay, this is great."
Exactly. I don't know. I've showed a few people that aren't into wrestling. It's just like, wait. Let me just show you Orange Cassidy, and they'll like, okay, that's kind of funny. It's stupid, but it's funny. It's like, exactly. There's interest.
Exactly. So the rules of this match confused me a bit because they said that not everyone needed to be in the match for someone to win. So in reality, Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian, who came out first, could have just been like, yo, let's one of us take it, and then you could be the first challenger. And it could have just been over in 30 seconds.
That was interesting, like even just the entrance of it playing twice.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, but I guess it was supposed to be like a toss-up, like a mystery of who was coming out, because I didn't know how it was going to really be set up. I didn't know if everyone was going to be out at once or whatever. I do like the way how they set up how people came out, but they almost should have done it like a War Games match or whatever, where yes, the match is going on, but the official match doesn't start until all the competitors are out. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't make sense to have 9 people in this thing, and at any time they can go and win before everyone is in.
You know, the person that you're rooting for, like, oh, I hope they have a chance to make it out there.
Yeah. It's like, what if obviously the mystery competitor was coming out last, obviously. So it's like, what if someone won and they just didn't come out? Like, you know?
Dude, going back to the whole beginning of it, honestly, it felt like WWE 20, you made 2 custom wrestlers, right? And you just got lazy and said, fuck it, I'm not changing their entrance. And they just came out the same exact way, same exact song. It's just it felt like a glitch in the simulation.
I did think it was a little awkward. It made sense them facing off. It was kind of cool, but at the same time, it was like awkward. I was almost like, why did they come out together? And then they kind of explained the rules of how everyone's going to come out every 2 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes a little more sense. But just off the top, it starting like that was super confusing. I do agree. I was like, what? Why didn't they just come out together? And I was like, oh, they weren't supposed to know if they were going to face each other in the beginning. Okay, now it makes sense. But
they could use some help in the department of working on their entrance music a little bit, but let's focus on that. Let's focus on that. More focus on the video game first, please.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. That's gonna be great.
If they made that on a WWF No Mercy engine, I would lose it. That would just be the coolest thing in the world. Partially sentimental reason, but just taking it back that far in general. I don't know if you've ever heard or if you play much wrestling video games. But Fire Pro Wrestling?
I haven't played it, but people rave about it. I've only played, in recent years, I've only played the 2Ks. I didn't buy the new one because it got such bad reviews. I was like, I'm not paying $60 for a game that's getting that bad reviews. And even the past few games have been whatever, but they're still fun in a sense. They've had their problems, but they haven't been terrible. But I heard the latest one was absolute garbage. So I was like, nope, not going to buy it.
Yeah, no, I was actually hopeful for that one, and that one tanked. But Fire Pro Wrestling, it's on PlayStation, and I know PC. That's what I have it on. But first off, they have Be a GM mode back.
Yeah, I've heard it's awesome.
You can run your whole promotion out of specific countries and everything, styles. It's super sick. And downloading crazy rosters, you can download full Attitude Era style rosters, moves specific, everything. And it's just people take the time to do this. It's so sick. You can fully customize your own universe. You don't feel alienated for not knowing who some of the New Japan Pro Wrestling guys or anything that were.
That's sick. Yeah, I definitely need to. Cool. I don't know why I've never played it.
I think I caught it on a Steam sale one time just because I was so hesitant of I don't know, am I really going to like an old school style game like this?
Right.
And I bought it specifically for the Be a GM or, run your own promotion mode, whatever.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it's so much fun.
Yeah. That's why I would be most interested in probably something like that because I play the My Universe mode in 2K, which is kind of like the same thing. You can make your own tag teams, make your own factions. You can bring in your own belts, make your own shows and shit. Obviously, it's kind of you can only do so much, but that's what I would do to have fun because you can just do a whole pay-per-view, set it up however the fuck you want, do whatever match you want for whatever title, and I'd always just make it a pay-per-view of all fucking crazy stipulation matches, and it'd just be fun to play.
Just make, I don't know, just go to your heart's desire and have as much fun as possible. I've gotten lost in universe mode for a couple hours before. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. And then I think about it, I'm like, this is dumb. I'm over. No, I'm gonna stop. This isn't productive. It has nothing.
No,
I don't know. It's just a black hole. If you don't catch yourself, you'll just keep going.
No.
But anyhow, casino ladder match.
Yeah. So
getting past the botched opening part.
Yeah. So they come out, they fight for a little bit, and then Kip Sabian comes out as the third entrant, and Jimmy Havoc comes and attacks them. And I made the note that Jimmy Havoc's suit screams Atreyu.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, am I wrong?
No, when you put it like that, now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually spot on. Yeah. I was gonna say I couldn't get over when he came out with the ladder and just literally ripped it apart. It's like, what?
We'll get to that.
Okay, sorry, jumping ahead there.
You're fine. Darby comes out like a fucking psychopath.
Comes out like Darby, yeah.
And he does that crazy spot where he climbs to the top of the ladder. And I don't remember who was on the ladder that was bridged, but he has a skateboard and he was about to crush a dude with a fucking skateboard and then goes through the ladder and the skateboard. That looked awful. Not as in it looked awful. It looked like it fucking hurt a lot.
That was actually one of the moments in this that made me like, oh my God, there's trucks on that board. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah. And then Orange Cassidy comes out like we were talking about. Excalibur says he was sloth-like, which was hilarious. And then Janela comes out similar to Darby, like a fucking
Yeah.
crazy person, just going fucking nuts. And then I think after that is when Luchasaurus came out, and he did the awesome Luchasaurus spots, and there was more awesome Luchasaurus later. And there was a part where Orange Cassidy and Kip Sabian were on top of the ladder, and Orange Cassidy bent his finger, and I was like, oh, was he chatting with Zack Sabre Jr. or something, like doing finger manipulation? I was like, damn, all right, dude.
Dude, that spot, that was everything all together here so far. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then Brian Cage comes out, mystery competitor. I was wondering, one of the podcasts I listened to Pro Wrestling Sheet, Ryan Stanton's podcast, and he brought up, maybe it could be Brian Cage, because sometimes obviously surprises or mystery competitors can be kind of a letdown, and I didn't think it was going to be one of the guys who let go from WWE or anything like that. I know a lot of them have non-compete clauses anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think it was going to be one of those people, but he brought up, because there was a report that came out back in like February or something that Brian Cage signed a deal with AEW, which Tony Khan in the post-show scrum confirmed that they did sign him back then, and he was injured, so it kind of flew under the radar for a while. But they did, which this is super awesome that he noted, is as soon as they signed him, they started paying him even though he was injured, which is super, another thing going back to what you said about Tony Khan. Very, very fucking cool. And so Brian Cage comes out with Taz as his manager, and the opening line to his entrance music, I noticed as soon as it came out, I was like, is that Taz? The voice? Because obviously Taz has a very distinct voice. You can tell it's Taz.
Yep.
And obviously it kind of ties in, because I don't know if you've been watching Dynamite, but they have had these like weird video segments with Taz and Darby over the past like month or so. So it kind of obviously tied into this in a way. In the pre-show, Taz did the commentary. It was just him and Excalibur, and at the end, he was like, "He's like, yeah, I got to go see someone about a horse," or he said something weird like that. And I kind of just like, the main commentary team is coming on for the main show, so that makes sense. But the fact that he said something, I was like, and then he comes out with him, which I think is the most perfect pairing, those two together, because obviously Taz can fucking talk, and we haven't really seen him in like kind of like a manager, at least like a heel manager role, like ever. So that's going to be super cool.
It's cool, dude. Like, I loved Taz when I was a kid.
Yeah, same.
His suplexes were just gnarly.
Yeah.
And
so gnarly.
Like I was bummed that, being a kid, not understanding like the full concepts, real world of being an adult. Like when he went to the commentary team from wrestling, I was kind of like, why? Like that's dumb. And I mean, I get it now, but like his in-ring days were just some of my favorite. I remember being young, there was no reason I should have been watching ECW probably at 8 years old. So I found Taz when he debuted, and I didn't even understand the promos. I think there was promos leading up to it. But when he debuted at Madison Square Garden in New York, perfect place.
Oh, yes.
Against Kurt Angle, and just shut him up. Like that was his first loss, and like that was so sick. That just said everything you needed to know about him.
Yep. Yeah, he is amazing, and he's always been awesome on commentary. So it's been cool to hear him do the stuff he's been doing for AEW on commentary. But now having him as a manager role, as like an on-screen talent, is very sick. I'm super stoked to see what they do with this. And when Cage came out, like I know I've watched Cage for a while now, whether it was random PWG stuff or in Lucha Underground. I think I watched a couple of his TNA stuff, but at that point I was already a fan and I don't really care about TNA. So I was like, I don't need to watch it. But this dude is amazing. He's obviously built like a fucking, like they call him the machine for a reason. And but the thing is, he can fucking move, and he showed it. I made a note of, he did this he was like tossing everyone around, even the big guys, like they were nothing, just like throwing them around like they weighed nothing. He did this crazy German suplex into a neck breaker. And I was like, what the fuck was that? It just looked so insane. And then obviously they all team up on him, and they take all of them, and then they put the barricade and the ladder on top of him, and they put the huge fucking chip on top of him, which I was like, this is insane and amazing at the same time.
Dude, his build is just like, it's unreal. Like, yeah, he's just the size that he is, and then like how fast and how swiftly he moves is just like, there's going to be some big shit. you said you don't care, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason that he's going to the main event title picture. Like, it's
Yes.
sick.
Yeah.
I'm glad with the way that kind of worked out. Like, I'm excited to see where he can go in the future with it.
Yeah, same. I had a few more notes as the match progressed and kind of wrapped
sorry,
up.
I keep giving everything away. The big
No,
spoiler.
you're fine. Nah, I mean, you're fine. Orange Cassidy trying to chokeslam Luchasaurus, which was amazing. And then Marco Stunt came out with the mini ladder.
Ladder, yep.
I laughed very hard at that.
I actually rewinded a few times trying to watch him chokeslam Orange Cassidy. It's just like, you wouldn't have gotten anywhere without him there, like, or without Luchasaurus. Oh my god.
And then Janela finally appears again and hit this insane Death Valley driver off the edge of the apron on Cassidy. Oh, on top of the chip that Brian Cage was under. Fucking insane.
Joey Janela is just something else, dude. That guy's been out of his mind since, I think, the first match I saw with him in AEW.
Yeah, he is wild.
He's still got a long contract with AEW, doesn't he? Or was that one coming to a close pretty soon?
I would imagine it's that they're all pretty long from the people who started, and he's pretty young too, so he's got a long way to go. And he has his own matches they've given him.
He has his own spring break event thing too, doesn't he? Yep. Similar to like the Jericho Cruise and everything.
Yeah, they'll do it around like big. Because every time, like pretty much WWE does a big pay-per-view or something, like one of the big four, it becomes like indie company craziness, and they all hold big shows around it. But yeah, he does a spring break that's always highly praised. He does it with GCW, which is a promotion out of New Jersey where he's from. So
yeah,
they team up and do the thing. I'm not sure. I know he had. I don't think if he was like part of like the backstage of GCW. I'm not really sure, but he had his last match there, like right around the time TV started for AEW.
I remember seeing, I think there was a video, again, going back to Reddit, but I think there was a video that got posted to Reddit right before his last match there.
Yeah. I know he included, oh man, I can't remember that dude's name. What's the name of the crazy fucking dude who says whoop whoop and does all the crazy shit on Twitter?
Oh,
Superhuman.
Superhuman, thank you.
He brought him in. He brought him in for like a match. Superhuman. For GCW.
Oh my god!
They protected him, and he just did like a few crazy spots, like you think he would.
Is there video of that on YouTube?
I'm pretty positive. I just watched a couple clips on Twitter when it happened, but I'm positive you could find it very easily.
Dude, that guy is just nuts. Like, he has no regard for like any aspect of his body, it seems like, and we're all here for it.
Yeah,
Mick Foley 2.0, I guess.
Yeah, he's fucking crazy. I mean, the dude can wrestle too. I mean, he put on a fucking killer match with fucking Kenny Omega a few weeks ago. Like, the dude can go.
Superhuman?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Joey Janela.
No, okay. Sorry. I was talking about Superhuman there. I was like, wait, what?
No. He's just still doing crazy shit on Twitter.
I was going to say, from the indies to the spotlight right there. Real quick.
God, that would be terrible.
Dude, if they could just, like, if they could manage to bring, like, Superhuman in for a crowd guest spot, like, Vicky Guerrero was there. Why? I don't know. But, like, if she can be there, Superhuman could be there.
She did commentary for an episode of Dark, and she was in one of the videos, like, when the Inner Circle was doing, like, the Bubbly Bunch or whatever. She was in one of those videos, too. So she's kind of been, like, around. So,
in a sense, though, it's cool that it makes me happy seeing. I'm assuming that she's being paid because she's on camera and everything.
Probably, yeah.
But like, it's kind of nice seeing that, knowing like WWE gave her the shaft because she showed her face. Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother story there.
For sure. But then Cage breaks out of the fucking pile of shit. Him and Luchasaurus have an awesome standoff, and then Cage fucking backflips out of a chokeslam. Insane. And then he hits the drill claw, which is the fucking suplex pile driver on Darby, which is one of the coolest finishers. I love that finisher. It looks so gnarly.
Yep.
And then he does a spot where on the corner, he put the ladder on the corner and then Darby on top of it, and then just fucking like gorilla presses it and then throws him out of the ring on top of the ladder.
I feel like overall the build-up between Cassidy and Cage, or Cassidy, sorry, Darby Allin. I don't know, I got that mixed up there.
Very good.
That's going to be a really good story.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be his first. Obviously, we've said Cage won, so he gets a title shot at the AEW Championship later on, which in the scrum, Tony Khan announced that it's going to happen at Fighter Fest, which they're going to announce the date this Wednesday on Dynamite.
Cool. I mean, it's so like they're doing the quarterly pay-per-view, so that still gives like, and which is kind of cool about quarterly pay-per-views, but it gives it 3 months to it's a quarterly reset almost, like now it's just.
Yeah, I think it'll. I was gonna bring this up later, but they announced All Out to be in September. They just announced a date for September 5th. They didn't announce a location or not or anything, obviously, because they don't know if they're going to be able to do it in Chicago where it's been being held. So that's like the next big one. And last year, like they did last year, they had Double or Nothing, Fighter Fest. That they had another one too. I can't remember what the name of it was. They had like 2 free ones in the middle before All Out, because at that time there was no TV, so they
Fighter
were trying
Fest
to
wasn't
fill.
free?
I think it was free. No, they had 2 free ones. It was Fighter Fest and then something else, and I can't remember the name of the other one.
I'm drawing a blank on this here. Let me see. I mean, on a computer.
I cannot remember what the other one was.
Yeah, it doesn't give any quick information on it.
Whatever. There was another one that was free. They were like quote unquote smaller pay-per-views. So I think Fighter Fest will be the middle between this one and All Out in September. It'll be like the summer pay-per-view, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Help stuff going.
There it is. Okay, I have it now. It was Double or Nothing, Fighter Fest, Fight for the Fallen.
Fight for the Fallen. That's
yeah.
Yeah, and they donated the proceeds to like that gun violence organization or whatever.
Yeah, something along those lines there.
Because there was that shooting in Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's cool.
More Tony Khan love.
Yeah, I cannot give enough for that guy. That guy is great.
Yeah, 3 for 3 here. Can't find. There will be something eventually. I hope not, but
I hope not either. He just seems like such a nice guy.
Exactly. But anyhow,
yeah.
With the ladder match there, I also wanted to say, like, dude, I even posted on Twitter earlier today, rewatching that match, and Luchasaurus, like, that guy's kicks are nuts.
He's so sick.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you watched Lucha Underground, but I did, so I was aware of him. And
I did not.
He's always been super cool. Lucha Underground is wild. I know season 1 was on Netflix. I don't know if it is anymore, but there was 3 or 4 seasons. But that was until, obviously it's not around anymore, but before AEW came around, that was the best. To me, that was the best weekly television, because Mark Burnett produced it, who produces like Survivor and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of AAA talent, and then a lot of like the indie people that were put in it. And the stories they did, they were good, but they were also wacky. Like they had this dude. That's how Pentagon got super popular in America, him and Phoenix, because they never teamed in Lucha Underground. I didn't even know they were brothers until they became popular through that, and then they started infiltrating the indies.
Yeah,
doing like PWG and whatever, any of the other smaller indies and shit like that. And that's when they started teaming together as the Lucha Brothers. But that made Pentagon so over, was that show, and Phoenix had an awesome run in Lucha Underground. But they had this dude Aerostar who was like from space, and they had this other guy who was a fucking dragon and shit, and it was all this wild shit. But they had incredible matches. Like John Morrison was in it, Ricochet was in it, but his name was Prince Puma, and he was a luchador. Yeah, and he didn't talk for like 3 seasons. It was awesome. Rey Mysterio was in it for a little bit.
Rough one.
He was really good in it, actually. He was like, they brought him in, and he was a fucking star in it, and he was just like kind of like there to enhance talent.
Was that the show where the accident happened with him?
No, I think that might have been AAA or another Mexican.
For some reason I thought it was that one there, so no, never mind. Nothing bad happened on that one.
No. They had some Air Fox. He's like an indie guy who's super crazy. He was in it. I can't remember his name, but he was Shane Strickland on the Indies. He's in NXT now. I think he's like Swerve something. I don't know his fucking name, but he was in it as a luchador. Another guy who just got picked up by NXT was in Lucha Underground as well. Alberto Del Rio was in it for a little bit
That's a
before
name right there.
before he got like crazy fucking canceled and went off the fucking deep end for being a psychopath.
Dude, I'm sorry, but like I hated Alberto Del Rio just in his natural run. Just like I don't know why, never liked him. I mean, I guess that's a good thing because he was a heel and everything. But like,
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
know.
just whatever. He was okay in Lucha Underground, but he only did a few matches, so it was kind of like, oh, we're gonna bring in this guy who just left WWE, bring in some star power, and then kind of went away. But anyway, that's besides the point. I knew Luchasaurus from Lucha Underground, and that's how he got his name because the crowd chanted Luchasaurus.
Because he's such a big dude, or what?
Yeah, because he's like such a big dude, and he obviously has the fucking dinosaur mask, and he came out and did all the crazy shit he's been doing, and people were like, "Oh fuck, this dude can fucking move! Like what? How can this dude this tall move like this? This makes no sense." And they chanted Luchasaurus, and he was on the Chris Jericho podcast, I think, and he said that's how he got his name.
See, dude, there was one point with I'm so sorry, dude. I'm drawing a blank on the Lucha Underground. Thank you. Sorry, bad brain fart. Good. I had a couple friends wake me up to a phone call one time, like early in the morning. We're going out to LA right now. We got selected for tickets to Lucha Underground. Dude, you got to come with.
Oh.
And I, not being an indie person, didn't know any better. And I was just like, you just woke me up. Like, no, I'm not going. And I think I hung up. And now at this point, it's like, oh, dude, that actually would have been really kick-ass to go to.
Yeah, because the place they filmed it in was sick. It was like crazy amphitheater stairs that went in, and they called it the temple.
Yeah, the whole set looked really cool.
Yeah, the whole promotion was really, really, really cool. But
got pretty fast, unfortunately.
Yeah, not enough people watched it, which sucks. Like exactly, like no one watched it. I watched it, and a few of my friends did, but other than that, no one really watched it. It was on a really unpopular network, so that's probably why.
it almost amplifies though, like the grip that WWE holds on everything. Of just like me as a casual WWE viewer wouldn't have known like, oh, that exists. I'm going to go watch that.
That's very fair. It is very fair. And then after that match, we got MJF and Jungle Boy, which I did not expect. I thought this would be a cool match, but I did not expect the match we got at all.
That match was something else. Like every time Jungle Boy comes out, it's just like it almost takes a very, very quick adjustment, and it's quick because he makes it a quick adjustment. But you see his height and his size compared to everybody else that he stands next to. It's just like, this looks like a bad gimmick match. Like, this isn't going to go well. And then he outperforms every, like, standard or anything for his size. Like, it's all there. He wrestles like he's unstoppable. Like, the height is never a thing.
Good. So, the biggest surprise out of this, because obviously MJF is the best heel in wrestling. There's no argument about that at all. And the dude can cut the most killer promos. It's just a fact. You know what I mean? Like the dude is, even if you don't like AEW, because obviously there's all those people who hate on AEW for whatever reason. I don't know if they're just like so accustomed to loving WWE. And there is stuff. I watched Money in the Bank. I had a podcast about Money in the Bank, and that was a really good show, especially for WWE. It was almost better quality than WrestleMania to me. WrestleMania had a few more high points than Money in the Bank, but as far as consistency level and match level, Money in the Bank pretty much beat it out. But that's besides the point. I'm not like a WWE hater. I just don't watch it weekly because it doesn't interest me, and there's usually never anything that's like worthwhile to watch for fucking 5 hours every week.
To say it's all bad is a lie, but
no, yeah, like I said, I can watch some gems, and I think that has kind of made me like the pay-per-views more because I'm not watching weekly, so I see the recap videos and then I watch the matches, and if they're good, they're good. If they're not, they're not. It's the same. It's the same with AEW. They have bad matches too,
Yeah, pretty much perfectly sums it up right there.
But exactly what I was saying before, MJF completely shocked me because he's had some like the match with him and Cody was cool, but there was kind of a lot of like shenanigans involved with it. With people getting involved and everything, which was expected. He's a heel, and that was a big story. to not wrap up, but to continue. That was one of the big payoff matches for that feud. And
Man, that was a hard pill to swallow on that match.
Yeah, because I kind of expected it was a good match, but I expected a great match because Cody was involved.
I still felt that it was a good, I actually loved that match. The only thing was just I don't know. I guess I had it in my head. Cody's winning this. There's no way. That buildup was so much, and those lashings were so rough.
Yeah, brutal.
And it was just Cody's gonna kick this dude's ass, and then he lost. It's like, wait, what? And then the storyline just kind of lost. It's like there was nothing after that. It's like, what?
But the good thing about AEW is that there's always the stories just don't go away. They're still there because obviously MJF has been cutting promos on him and stuff. It's just another feud came up because right after that is when Jake the Snake came out and said he's like, I have a client, and it was right around the Exalted One thing. So I almost thought Brody Lee was going to be his client at first.
Yeah, same.
But Lance Archer is fucking awesome, and we'll get into that stuff after. But yeah, it kind of just switched gears. But I have a feeling. Well, I'll get into this after too. But I have a feeling we're gonna get back to that feud very soon for sure.
Probably with the championship in the play of it now, MJF is going to use some sort of flex saying, I already beat you. I'm better than you. And
Exactly.
Two roads it can go from there.
Yeah. Crazy thing about this match, or about these two competitors in general. Jungle Boy, 22 years old. MJF, 24. And they're already as good as they are. Yeah. Insane. They're so young.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they were that young. I don't know. I guess it comes with the territory of getting older, you're going to have younger people than you now. But, not everybody's just older than you. But I don't know. That's crazy. That's so much talent out of such young ages right there. That's a lot of time and dedication and effort right there. Probably speaking on Jungle Boy's behalf. I don't know much about MJF's history, but 22 years old. That's not crazy to say that probably since the day he's turned 18, the last 4 years has been grinding, trying to make something happen.
Yeah, and that's why he went as Jungle Boy, because obviously he's Luke Perry's son, but he wanted to get by on his own merits, not just his dad's name. So until he started getting booked kind of regularly, that's when he kind of came out and he's like, oh yeah, Luke Perry's my dad, kind of thing. But because he didn't want that to skyrocket him to he wanted to earn his spot, which I think is super, super cool.
Yeah, that's definitely an admirable feature.
MJF had a promo. I don't know if they showed it on TV, but it was on one of the Road to Double or Nothings, pretty much saying he's like, why am I the heel in this? Why are you the baby face? Pretty much you got handed everything your whole life, because it obviously it was incredible. Like we said before, MJF is the greatest fucking promo. Yep. So to make this guy kind of look, you think about it, you're like, what he's saying, you're like, oh, it's kind of true. Wow, should he be the face? But obviously he still is the face. But just the fact that MJF can do stuff like that is unbelievable.
It's frustrating. I catch myself dude, you want to fuck you. It's just when it gets to that point, it's he's doing his job and he's doing it really good. The guy in terms of a heel, it's just he's writing the books on the how-to books basically right now.
Dude, straight up. And there was a few notes I made of some of my favorite parts of the match. When Jungle Boy knocked MJF on the outside, at first he did 3 dives in a row. And I didn't notice this until the replay, but the first dive was between the bottom and the middle rope. The second dive was between the middle and the top rope. And then the third dive was over the top. So he did it in succession of where he was. And I was like, wow.
I didn't even realize that.
I always just saw him do 3 dives, and the third one was the Tope Con Hero.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice he did the smaller one, the medium one, and then the highest one. I was like, wow, that is impressive.
Dude, it's just everything that comes with them. It's Jungle Boys every time. I have to kind of pep myself. He's going to be a good match. This is going to be good. Just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I haven't gotten over that hump with him, but every time he starts doing things like that, it's don't get me wrong, I'm 100% surprised, but at the same time, it's just this is
yeah. Yeah. And then there was this crazy exchange. Jungle Boy hit a super kick. MJF hit a discus elbow. Jungle Boy hit a Canadian Destroyer. And then I think MJF hit another super kick, some kind of kick to him, and they both fell down. And then all the crazy near falls keep happening. And I wrote in the notes, best MJF match I've ever seen, which this match was so good. And this, like I was saying before, all of his other matches were like good, but they weren't great. And I was like, oh, well, this dude is an amazing promo. Who cares of his matches? But this shit was like, I was like, wow, this dude is the total fucking package. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And MJF grabbed Aubrey's leg to kind of deter Jungle Boy from diving on him, which was an awesome heel move. And then they get on the second rope, and then Jungle Boy hits this crazy second row power bomb for like
I really thought he was gonna
close near fall, like the closest.
That one hurt. It was just like, let him get it. This is so sick. Like that would have been the moment, but at the same time, like you don't want him to lose it. You don't want MJF to lose his like, like let him keep it going.
Yeah, and then it ends with they're flipping through like roll ups, and you know MJF tried to win with holding the tights. And at first, when he made the pin, I thought somehow he was holding the tights, and then they showed the replay, and he does this crazy. I don't remember what the technical term of it was, but he did like that bridge where he's holding his arms so he couldn't escape. And I was like, when they showed the replay, I was like, holy shit, he won with this crazy technical pin. I was like, what the fuck? I wonder if they were finally just like, yo, MJF, go out there and fucking show them what you got. You know what I mean? And he just like fucking did it. And like everyone was, a lot of people said this was their favorite match, like actual match of the night, which it was up there for me. I think it was, obviously we're going to get to the main event, but this was my second favorite wrestling match, like straight on wrestling match.
Real quick, MJF like reminds me of growing up watching like old Triple H matches and everything.
Yeah, I can see
because he like, granted MJF has gone full heel already, but I can't see him going any other way. Granted, like Triple H kind of ramped towards it slowly but surely, and when he was there was no other option. But like watch over time, like the guy's young. You pointed out he's 24, and when you put it like that, that's where it's like this guy's going to grow into something huge. Triple H has just been like, when I think of a heel, he's one of the first people that come to mind because it's never known anything different.
Yeah,
that was one character they never messed up in WWE was Triple H. Of just like, it was always the same cat.
Yeah, for the most part, he had some heel or some face runs, but that was kind of through the DX stuff and stuff like that. But yeah, he was predominantly a heel for sure.
The heel work, it overpower you. Now that you mentioned it, yeah, you are right. Go ahead and critique me, everybody else on the internet. But
I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's all good. Like all of his heel work just outshines it all. You would never, because there's been some moments like I specifically remember more where he was a GM of like. There's been some moments where it's like, yes, Triple H, this is sick, but then other like I don't know, you don't really count that. Like I'm talking like. The days growing, I think I just watched a special on it too, where Triple H and Mick Foley went over their history and their matches and everything like that. And like, dude, that one's on the network, and it goes over like I think if I remember correctly, it touched the Hell in a Cell match they had too.
Damn,
dude, that's so sick. But yeah, Triple H heel, great. MJF reminded me of him.
And then after that, we get the TNT Championship match. Cody versus Lance Archer. Mike Tyson comes out with the belt, which at first I noted the belt is very ugly, but then it came out later that it's completely unfinished. And because the guidelines that the belt maker had to follow, that's all he could get done. And they obviously needed something for the pay-per-view. So it's not even close to being finished. And they showed like a kind of a render of what it's supposed to look like. And it looks like a pretty decent belt, honestly.
Is it supposed to still be red at least?
Yeah, the strap is supposed to be red. It's like a nod to the NWA TV title belt.
Honestly, the red strap, like when I saw that, because I will agree, like the TNT belt, just seeing TNT on the center, I'm like, that's kind of corny. I guess like we're gonna hope. I'll just try and forget that TNT is a channel and something cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
I kind
the
of
strap
figured
itself looked sick.
I kind of figured the TNT would be on it, obviously. You know,
but not like WWE create a belt of like TNT. Now let's expand this all the way across.
Yeah, the way it kind of laid out with this like rendering of the final version, there's way more detail in the center. There's a lot more gold. It's not supposed to be silver. There's supposed to be a lot more gold and highlights on it. So I was like, okay. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, that looks like a fucking belt. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm, since they were saying it's unfinished, I'll let that pass until I see the actual.
It was a step in the right direction as opposed to like the women's title.
The women's title is cool. It's just so small.
Dude, it looks like a plastic toy from Walmart.
Yeah,
It looks
it's just
like
so small. I wish it was
looks
bigger.
like something. I was kind of hoping when the title changed hands off Riho, like, okay, present a bigger title that actually fits to the rest of your locker room and not the one person you put it on first.
Yeah, because like when Nyla was holding it, it just like looked like it was like some little toy.
Dude, yeah, it looked like a dollar store wrestling belt. I'm sorry, but like, that is just the most underwhelming major belt that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you there for sure.
Debuted. I don't know. The tag titles though,
they're sick. They look nice.
God, the designs of those are so awesome. Like
they're very cool.
It reminds me of a throwback to older WWF days, like kind of around the merger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would agree with that. They're awesome belts. But this match starts off. Archer hits Cody with his finisher right off. Then he rolls out. I didn't really have much. The beginning, it wasn't slow, but it took a while to get really, really into the match. I don't think it really dragged. To say that it dragged, I don't want to make it sound negative because overall, I thought the match was really, really good. But it took a while. It was just kind of just normal back and forth stuff for a while. Mostly Archer just throwing Cody around and stuff. And then Archer hit that crazy tightrope moonsault that he does, which is insane for a dude that size. The first time he did that, I was like, how?
Yep,
what?
Exactly. Just like in disbelief, like how did that just happen right now?
Well, because at first when he goes up to do it, I was like, oh, he's doing the old school. He's doing Undertaker. That's fine. But it's like, oh, no, he tight ropes half of the fucking rope, halfway between each ring post, and then backflips off it. What?
The capability is like, I don't know. It's insane. Like it's crazy. The huge change coming from WWE. I keep talking about it, but like the change from that to this is just like, this is so sick. I get why my friends who love indies love indies.
Yeah, for sure. Because this stuff is just indies with better storytelling, pretty much.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor has had some pretty good. It was mostly when all of the dudes who are here now were there. And New Japan is really good at storytelling, but I only watch Wrestle Kingdom. That's all you really need to watch. You watch it. They do awesome video packages, just like AEW or WWE, that brings you to right where you are. And then they go out and have the fucking craziest matches ever.
Yeah, those matches are over the top always. Like one of my old friends that I used to have, he would dedicate his entire week or however long. Wrestle Kingdom in general takes place over.
This year, it was the first time it was 2 days.
2 days. Was it not longer than that normally? Like
no, it's usually just 1 day, but they have a show right after called New Year's Dash, which is like their weekly, because they're not really on television. They were kind of on Axis, but it's weird because they weren't the actual matches that took place. So you have to have their subscription service to see all their stuff, but you get everything. You get any pay-per-view that they have, or all of their quote unquote weekly events or whatever. But it all comes with it. But
so what's the tournament that they have then that took a long time? Don't they have?
They have a Best of the Super Juniors is one of the long ones, and then they have the G1 is really long.
G1 is the one I was thinking about for a while. Like
it's super long.
He would say he'd stay up till some absurd time in the morning just to try and watch it. It's like that's a little much, and now it's like, oh, I kind of get it a little bit. I mean, I get it.
It's crazy how it is too, because they're in blocks and they keep having matches with each other, and you advance through points. You like get a point every time you win, and it's whoever has the most points advances to the next block. It's crazy. I think Okada and Omega faced off in one of the G1 finals. They had 3 or 4 matches, and they're all fucking the most incredible matches you'll ever watch in your life.
I'll have to go find them on YouTube.
Yeah, dude, those are... Kenny Omega has been kind of almost watered down in AEW a bit. He's had some really good matches, and it's kind of been getting a little better, but him in New Japan is something fucking else, especially his matches with Okada. They're like, you watch those matches and you'll just be blown the fuck away. It is unreal.
I read about that kind of often, and like that was my expectation of Kenny Omega as well, like hearing about him all the time from said friend. Kind of thinking like, dude, Kenny Omega is going to come in here like he's going to be some huge badass, and then for a while it's nothing that really stood out to like meet the hype of it. But I was very, very excited to like find out more about Kenny Omega, knowing he was coming to AEW.
The The only good singles, I mean, the only like really good singles match he's had is really the one with him and Moxley, which is it's a different kind of match for sure. But he's
Yeah.
had some solid singles matches, but nothing like he had a really good match with Trent a few weeks ago, and then I mentioned the Joey Janela one that was good too. But the tag matches he's had have been mind blowing with him and Paige. Like they've been almost every match, like tag match they've had has been insanely good, especially the one with them in the Bucks. That match was fucking
incredible.
insane.
And it's just one of those things like two things here. First is Adam Page's character development through all of this and the alcohol becoming more and more of a problem. It's just like it's such a slow burn of when are you going to pull the trigger on this storyline? Like,
oh yeah,
I'm very impatiently waiting on that. To like, just let him blow up. Let him blow up, please.
That's why I love about it, because it's like, because even at the go home show on Dynamite this week, he comes back and helps them for being gone from, you know, being quarantined or whatever, or you know, staying at home.
Yeah.
And he comes back, helps them out, and then just leaves. I was like, fuck, they're still continuous on. I was like, hell yeah, way to be.
I don't know. That's one of the things I like about it. It's just like he shows up out of nowhere. He's there. He's gone. That's it. And it keeps everything around him just a mystery.
Yeah, I love it.
You never know what he's going to do. But
getting back to the TNT title match. So there was this awesome exchange where Cody hit the DDT in front of Jake the Snake, and then Archer hit the spine buster in front of Arn, which I thought was awesome. And
those were solid moments.
And then Cody hit Dustin's finisher, the Final Reckoning, on him, which was fucking great. And then he also hit the splash in the corner, which I loved that the announcers go, "Oh, Stinger splash." I was like, "Oh, okay," because there's been so many rumors that Sting is going to come to AEW in some sort of role, whether it be like a manager or whatever. I don't think he's going to wrestle ever again, but him coming in some sort of, because I thought he was going to be the one to present the title, honestly. So when they announced Mike Tyson, I was like, oh, that's a surprise. That's pretty fucking crazy. You know, like, wow, Mike Tyson, that's cool.
Kind of out of left field, but I guess I don't know, maybe it was one of those like, what celebrity can we get? But I feel like I
also think it's a dig at WWE too.
That part, but I remember seeing on Twitter recently, and I don't remember who shared it, but Mike Tyson, I think he said he's coming back to boxing.
Yeah, I know he's like training for it, I guess, which is he's like 53. I mean, obviously he takes his shirt off, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, he takes his shirt off. He's like, yep, nope, he can still kill me one punch. That's all he needs.
Like, okay. And then there's the part where Arn kind of does a heel move in a way and trips Archer off the top rope. And then it was funny because one of the other refs comes out and is like, yo, you missed that spot. And he goes to Mike, and Mike's like, yeah, he did it. And then they kick out both managers for whatever reason, which was fine because it was cool to get these two guys one-on-one. And then Jake tries to come back with the snake in the bag. Or I don't think there was a snake in the bag, but obviously he made it look like there was a snake in the bag.
Yeah.
And then Mike Tyson scared him off, which I'm glad. I never want to see that fucking snake again, because in reality, it's kind of fucked up. You know, like it was fine in the old days, but to like bring a snake in that kind of environment, even if it's like a trained snake, I don't know. I mean, I'm vegan too, so I don't know if that's part of being vegan in me, but like I was just like, I don't like the spot at all. I don't know. It was that whole thing. And at first, they wouldn't replay that when like the week after it happened. They cut the snake part out, but obviously in the build-up for this, they showed it, which I was kind of surprised about because it got a lot of hate online. But I could do without never seeing that snake ever again.
I get nervous every time they bring out animals in general because it's just like, dude, you're treading some fine lines right here, right now. Like the internet will rip you apart for this so fast.
Yeah, and yeah, so.
What was the one that they brought out on Dynamite one time, and it looked like the animal was scared?
It was Cody brought his dog Pharaoh,
and like
and the pyro kind of like scared him.
Yeah, you're right.
Which I was like, man. Which Pharaoh's came out into like events and stuff, which is obviously fine because obviously he's like a super well behaved dog. But you know, obviously we both have dogs. Loud noises freak dogs the fuck out. You know?
Yeah, I don't know where he was at with the pyro thing of like, oh no, that wouldn't do anything, but.
Yeah. If he brought him out, it would have been nice if they skipped the pyro.
Dude, even remind me, don't let me forget, when we get to the stadium talk or stadium match talk, let's revisit this part of the conversation for a certain situation.
Fair enough. Then it kind of gets to the end, Mike Tyson scares off Jake the Snake. He runs off, and then Cody goes crazy. He hits Crossroads.
Even the first one that he hit, though, where he reversed it on him.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Blackout?
Oh.
Is that his move?
Oh, Archer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blackout, yeah.
Like, when he got out of that and then, like, when he went for the Crossroads, like, that, the ending altogether, like, from start to finish, I liked the story of that match.
Yeah, it was really good. I like that it's kind of been known that people will kick out of the one Crossroads. So then he gets back up, does the two, and then wins, becomes the first TNT champion, which at first, the whole time this tournament came up, I was like, it's going to be Archer and Cody in the finals. It's obviously going to be Archer and Cody in the finals, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. But I always thought that Archer was going to win. And then more leading up to it, I have like a couple like wrestling group chats or whatever. And everyone's like, Cody's got to win, right? He's lost a couple big matches. He lost the Jericho match where he could never challenge for the title again. Then he lost to MJF. Like, he's got to win this, right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think he does. And then getting closer to it, I was like, maybe it does make sense that he makes it, because obviously Cody he's a fucking star. I have a theory that they originally wanted to turn him heel early on, but he was over that they couldn't. Like, there was nothing they were going to do that was going to turn him. You know what I mean? Because even in the beginning, I think when he like did the first match with Darby, I think it was at Fyter Fest last year, he was kind of wrestling sort of heelish. And we know he can make it awesome heel. He was an awesome heel in Ring of Honor and New Japan when he joined Bullet Club and everything. He was a great fucking heel. So I was like, I would have been okay with it, but he was so over that it wouldn't have been possible. Like, there's no way they could have turned him heel.
Yeah, and it would have been hard too. I feel like making a change from a face to a heel right now without a crowd.
Oh, it's impossible.
A live crowd, like, what are you going off of? You're almost redoing the Butcher and the Blade debut right there. Just like, what?
Yeah, I popped for that because I know Andy Williams, but that's a minority of the wrestling community.
Dude, it echoed for me. Like, I think it was more so like, is that the dude from Every Time I Die?
Yeah. I'm from upstate New York, so Buffalo's only a few hours away. So, and they've been doing the wrestling circuit together for a while, so I'm aware of it because I'm from the area. And they haven't really done much outside of there. They've done a few things, but other than that, they weren't a super well-known team. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't even pop for Dark Order, which they used to be the Super Smash Brothers, and they were like in PWG and stuff. So if they're not popping for them, they're not going to pop for this. Like, I love the team; they're fucking great, but I was like, yo, Andy from Every Time I Die is on my fucking TV right now. That is dope.
Yeah.
And it made a ton of people who don't watch wrestling because they're like, I'm going to watch my friend Andy, or I'm going to watch the dude from Every Time I Die wrestle on my TV,
Yeah, that was kind of interesting too. Just like when that happened, all I was just thinking is like, I'm bracing myself for the shit talk to come on the internet of like this and just everything bad about wrestling. Like, I already know like people don't like it, and you know what? That's fine. I'm not saying anybody's got to like it, but just like, I hate the overbearing people. Just like, it's fake, right?
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, stick to what you like. Leave me alone about it.
Were you stoked on Cody winning the title?
Dude, I was really stoked on Cody winning the title. I almost wanted to see. I was kind of bummed because like Archer had such a strong push going into this, and I'm with you on Cody turning heel. Like, I still thinking about it right now. I can't think of like how Cody would have turned heel, but if there's a way
I didn't really mean now. I meant more in the beginning of when AEW started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking more in terms of like. I felt like Cody had to win the match, but I was almost hoping of like turn heel in the process. Don't kill Lance Archer's character yet. Like,
they are planting the seeds though with the whole Sean Spears and MJF calling him out, because that whole spot with Brandy where she got hit and it kind of looked like he threw her in, or I think it was Darby, threw Darby into Brandy.
Yeah.
And they're kind of playing into and then him coming out during the match with Dustin and Archer and trying to throw in the towel for him and stuff. And they're definitely playing into that, which I like. And they've been doing good jobs with slow burns. So I'm okay if it takes a while. Cause obviously, like you said, it'd be so impossible to turn him heel without a crowd. You need that reaction for it to be impactful. You know what I mean?
Because without the crowd, it's just a person doing bad things. A heel
Yeah.
isn't a heel without the booze and the hate.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I was this match was super cool. Quality Cody match. Almost all of his matches are at least really good, if not amazing. So they put
It's
on a
not
good
sur-
match. Yeah, so
it's not surprising to see him with a title. I actually
it
thought
makes
he was
sense.
gonna. I thought he was gonna take it from Jericho originally too. I didn't think he was gonna lose like that. I almost kind of hoped that he wouldn't lose like that because I don't want. I guess the WWE scarring shows here of like I don't want that opportunity for them to just forget that it happened. Like
Yeah.
don't let that even be there. Just I don't know, the fact that it's now like, oh, he can never challenge. Please don't pull a WWE and be like, he can never challenge until it's been 5 years and you forgot that happened.
Right. And I think they'll stay true to it. And Tony Khan has said, and I think Cody has said too, that this title is not a secondary title. They're both main titles to be
Yeah.
treated as, they're both important.
Yeah.
So I think going forward, unless there's crazy matches like the Stampede match to co-headline, like those two titles will co-headline, and whatever's the hottest, program will go on last, which
So
would make sense.
does Cody taking this title? I mean, yeah, we could say it's a main title all we want, but like, let's be serious. That heavyweight title, even John Moxley compared to like Brody Lee and some of these really big dudes that they're having coming into it right
Yeah.
now. Like, when does the size like become the factor to it all? You know what I mean?
It's a good point.
Like Lance Archer challenging for the heavyweight title makes sense. Cody now winning this title almost kind of solidifies him. Not to take away from like it being a main title, but it's a mid card title. It's a midweight title.
Well, I mean, Cody's still a heavyweight. I think if it came down to like weight.
Oh, weight wise, yeah, absolutely. But it's curious now. Like, how do you brand your divisions?
Yeah, heavyweight's kind of hard because even in like WWE, like people like Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, they've won the heavyweight title, like
granted those seemed believable, but yeah, but it's like not just body types, I guess, that play into it, but it's like you think like all the big people, all the big guys that they have right now, like I don't know, it's curious. I'm curious to see where they go with it because I feel like that does kind of solidify Cody as like a not mid card, like much higher than a mid card status, but the mid level champion.
Yeah, I mean, even Cody winning it kind of made me feel the opposite because it makes it feel because obviously Cody is an important part of this. I mean, obviously he's huge behind the scenes, but he's one of their biggest baby faces, period. You know what I mean? Like when that dude was coming out and there was a crowd, not many people were getting cheered more than him, So it's like him winning it is almost like, oh, okay, maybe this is, to me, it's like, yeah, it does seem as important as John Moxley having a title. You know what I mean? Like Cody is a big fucking name, like if Archer won, I would kind of maybe see it your way because it's like, I know him because he was a star in New Japan. He won the U.S. title. He was a tag champion for a while. I know him from that, but even those technically are lower card titles than, he wasn't beating Okada for the main title. I mean, John Moxley is the US champion in New Japan, which obviously still is a big deal, but at the same time, it's like, it's not the heavyweight title. It's not the biggest title, but when you only have two titles, it's easy to kind of put him on the same playing field a little bit,
Yeah, gives it a little bit more wiggle room. It'll be really interesting to see too who they push next for the title because like with Cody being as over as you said he is too, like if they put somebody that's not as popular or somebody that could really benefit from that push, like it could be a big star.
True. I mean, and they've been doing a good job with that stuff. Like, obviously, they made Darby Allin a star. They've made Sammy Guevara a star. They've made Private Party stars. Like, just like Orange Cassidy. Like you said, you didn't know about Orange Cassidy. I only knew about his name, really, and I saw some stuff on Twitter, but I never really saw him in his matches. But he's come on, and he's a big fucking deal. But there's a ton of opportunities to make this title really like the workhorse title, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. And
you know who specifically I'd be really interested to see with this title, though, is Sammy Guevara.
That would be cool. You know who just popped in my mind? Pac to have it.
Dude, that one would be really cool, too. I actually, through quarantine, that one slipped a little bit.
I only, because obviously him and Pentagon and Phoenix formed that
The
faction.
Death Triangle or whatever.
Yeah. But he had an awesome promo. I think it was on last week's Dynamite, and it was super, super fucking cool. And it was like
I'm behind on that one this
it was
week.
like dark too. I was like, whoa, I did not expect that coming, because he's a good talker. The dude can talk. Like even when they turned him heel in WWE, I was like, wow, this is the side of the dude I've never seen, because I became aware of him through NXT because I watched NXT from the start of when it was on the network. And I knew him as like the babyface dude, but he had an edge at the end of NXT before he lost to Sami Zayn, because he just did whatever it took to keep the title on him, which was super cool. But when they fully flipped him and made him a heel, I was like, oh, okay, I'm into this.
It's almost like he fully embodies the little man complex.
Oh, 100%.
And like he uses it to his advantage. Yeah.
And you believe
dude, it. Exactly. Like there's other small people, don't get me wrong. Jungle Boy does not put off that energy of like, small guy, I have a chip on my shoulder, I've got something to prove.
Yeah.
Pac, on the other hand, I'm gonna kill you just to make a statement. Yeah. That dude's wild.
I do think this is eventually gonna end up like we kind of talked about earlier, MJF coming out, and the reason he's undefeated this year, MJF. He hasn't lost. He won the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Like, he beat Cody before, and he can come out and say what the internet is saying. Like, oh, Cody couldn't win the main title, so he makes his own title in his own company, and now he's that champion. You know what I mean? He put himself in the tournament, and he made it through a tournament, but he made his own title, and now he has it. Like, of course he did. He can say exactly what the internet is saying.
Yeah.
But make it even better because he's MJF.
Yeah, MJF is good. He's got such a sick future coming up for him, dude.
Yeah, and
especially with this pay-per-view, more titles in the mix now, or another title. But yeah, if that's the next one, I'm not upset. If that's the next story.
Yeah, and that's one where Cody could win, and it would make sense because he lost the first one. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that would be Cody's big payback for him costing the AEW title for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, one good solid title defense for him to start it off would be like super sick. So it's not just a hot potato who's got the belt now.
Exactly.
Because that tournament, like, I would hope they wouldn't botch it. That tournament that they did leading up to it, like, I loved it. Cool. I thought it was super sick. It was
a lot of really good matches.
Yeah, it was a refreshing tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And then next up, we got Penelope Ford and Chris Statlander. This one they both have a ton of potential. I know they're both, I think, young as far as age, but I know in experience they don't have a ton of it. And there was a couple good spots, but it was kind of clunky. Statlander's finisher is sick, and she won, which I'm guessing is going to lead to a title opportunity, maybe? I don't know.
The part where Statlander attacked
Kip?
Penelope and Kip, that was sick.
Yeah.
But like this match, I don't know. I wasn't feeling this one that much.
Neither.
I was more excited for the women's championship.
Yeah.
I hate saying that. I don't want to be negative about it, but like, it's just kind of the reality of the situation.
You're going to be honest, you know what I mean? And then that match happened. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, like, it happened.
And then this next one, I don't have much to say about either. Dustin Rhodes versus Sean Spears. The beginning though was funny. He comes out, kind of mocks him, plays the music, and he's like, "Oh, that was my plan." And the music plays again, and I loved the shot where they like panned and they saw the back of Dustin Rhodes. That part was awesome. But then I was talking, like, one of the wrestling groups I have, like, the amount of character building they've done with Sean Spears since AEW has been more than the 12 years he was in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the 10 character was cool. He put on some cool matches in NXT, but like, who was he? You didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But then this match happens and they just make him look like a fucking dweeb. And I was like, it was all honestly like a WWE comedy match, which kind of bummed me out.
I was going to say, it had more funny moments than it did good moments. Not good moments, but just the funny moment. Like, when you think of a match, the first thing that you remember should not be funny moments.
Or, like, Sean Spears with his ass hanging out for
that part.
2 minutes.
Even commentary was Jim Ross. Old Jim Ross, but like he was making so many comments like, pull up that man's pants, like, or what, however outdated he says it, like, it was, I don't know, I was happy that one ended.
Yeah, same. kind of a bummer. Like it kind of, we'll see what they do with Sean Spears after this, but I kind of hope they get like a rematch and Sean Spears just like beats Dustin in a good match, because even his match with Cody in the tournament, I liked that match better than the one they had at that one pay-per-view. You know,
Yep.
it was a better match, but whatever. So we get to the AEW Women's Championship match, no DQ match. Nyla Rose is the champion versus Hikaru Shida. This match, because Nyla Rose has been kind of hit or miss. Her two matches with Rio were really good. Her other stuff has kind of been squash matches, sort of, but they've been like okay. And obviously she's kind of like newer to wrestling, but she's starting to come into her own. And in this match, it definitely showed. They put on an awesome match, and I think the no DQ match helped it a lot, obviously, because they could do a lot more that they couldn't do in a regular match. But I thought this match was really cool. A few notes I had: Shida gets thrown through the poker table on the side, and then Nyla says, "Always bet on black," which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
Shida hit that crazy running knee off the chips onto the chip that was standing up, which was a pretty cool spot. Excalibur made an Excalibur reference because Shida got the kendo stick, and it's like she pulled the sword out of the stone, and I was like, that's funny.
Dude, that kendo stick, not to just jump to the end of the match here, but like the one thing that like how you said, just like pulling out the kendo stick like it's some big sword.
Yeah.
The end there, just hitting over the head, and then the knee is just like, oh my God, like that was just the picture perfect ending.
Yeah. Well, because it was even better because she hit her with the knee, kicked out, hit her with the kendo stick, kicked out, or whatever, and then hit her again square in the face, then knee, then boom, 1, 2, 3. The only other note I had that is that they had the awesome table spot where Nyla did the power bomb to the corner through the table, which was cool. But I mean, it was a fun match, and I did not see Shida winning this. I did not expect it. So I was like, oh shit, okay, cool, new champion.
Yeah. I mean, the benefit of this, looking at a picture again right now on my computer, at least the championship belt feels like it'll fit the person that has it now.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like it fits. Yeah.
It just they need to really redesign that belt. I don't know. I hate looking at that thing.
We'll see if they do it.
Fingers crossed. But like the fact that they went with the no count out and the no disqualification for this match, like that created like the best closer for it. Like
100%.
Yeah, great match.
And then we get to the co-main events. AEW Championship match. Jon Moxley is the champion versus Brody Lee. I know we talked about entrance musics a lot, but these two guys' entrance musics I dig a lot, and I love like the vibe of Brody Lee is coming out. They had the overlay of him coming out with that's like from his Titantron and stuff. That was super cool. And
I felt like that you could notice. It felt like this time you can notice very much so that Evil Uno that they weren't there.
Yeah, it bums me out that the whole border thing is a thing right now, because they did such a good job reinventing the Dark Order in a way with like the vignettes and everything happening and stuff. And like they did all the work to build it up, and then as soon as it pays off, they're gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll pick right back up. But
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, everything with entrance wise, like Brody Lee, the whole Dark Order thing, like I'm a huge sucker for that off. Like from the start, like there was even it was on some random YouTube channel, not random, it was a big credited wrestling channel, but they even had a glitch. It seemed like I never looked much into it, but it made me wonder if AEW maybe like had some paid promotion going on various wrestling channels, not just
really?
like, yeah, not like D or C level. Like we're talking like million subscriber type crazy stuff on YouTube, and it glitched and it went to a Dark Order commercial.
Weird.
And it was just one of those like, what the hell? This is so cool. I was watching that work just in disbelief because it came up on Reddit. They were the one, somebody on there pointed that all out and kind of just went down the rabbit hole right there.
That is
dude.
Sick.
There was a lot of good lore going on with the whole Dark Order. Like, I don't know, Reddit kind of fuels certain things for me sometimes. Just like finding out the little things behind it all,
Yeah. And I made a note that when Moxley came out, because the beginning of this match, the build was kind of forced in a way because it kind of came out of nowhere and they only had a few weeks to actually build it,
Yeah.
But as soon as the Dark Order attacked Moxley, I was stoked because I knew we were going to get Moxley versus Brody Lee. And I was like, okay, I am about this. But I knew because the last few John Moxley matches have kind of been whatever as far as because the match with him and Hager, I thought it was going to be crazy like his other hardcore matches, but it wasn't. It was really slow and kind of whatever, So I was like, Moxley needs a really good match. And I was like, and Brody Lee obviously needs a really good showing because he's only really had, they've been him just fucking demolishing people, so.
I was actually really bummed about this match. Like, not the results of it by any, or the matches itself, but leading up to it, I was really bummed about this because it's like, I love John Moxley as champion right now. Everything about that has been enjoyable for me. Brody Lee, I've loved everything about Dark Order, everything we just talked about. And then you see this, it's like, someone's got to lose. Damn it, why does somebody have to lose right now? And, like, throughout this entire match, it felt like they were aware of it. It's that skeptical feeling, not trusting, I guess, the company itself coming from WWE for so long of like, they're going to botch that. Somebody's getting buried. There's no continuation of it. There's no long-term storytelling out of it. But this whole match, the way they wrapped it up at the end, like, it's far from done. It's so far from done. Nothing.
Smart.
There was no 1, 2, 3 count. Yeah, technically a submission is still a submission, but like the fact that it wasn't a 1, 2, 3 count clean loss is
super
huge.
Smart. And they killed each other. Like they came out swinging right at the beginning. They traded dives with each other. Brody Lee did this crazy tope gun hero over the top rope to him. Oh, they did this. They did the Brody did the suplex through the barricade that was leaned up against the stands.
John Moxley, dude, through the ramp to the ring itself.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. I wasn't even getting to that yet, but then.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. There was a spot off the steps where he back body drops Brody Lee through the timekeeper's table. Yep. He had the gotch pile driver, which was fucking gnarly. And then,
in a sense, it almost kind of like when they were by the cards, and it looked like Brody was going to suplex him at one point, if I remember correctly. It kind of took me back to that Kenny Omega match where they went through the barbed wire off the stage, and now like remember that part where they threw him through like that light fixture thing that they had.
Yep.
And it kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is cool. Like I'm picking up some vibes here. Like.
Yeah, they did that exploder spot through the card deck, and then they had the crazy paradigm shift through the fucking ramp, which I was like, I almost thought they were gonna, because like you said, you're like, no one can straight up lose this match. You know what I mean? There's got to be some way they're gonna do it smart, and I almost thought they were gonna call like a no contest, like they both can't get out. But what they did was even better because John Moxley crawls out and he's like struggling, like. He like limps back in, and then Harper comes out covered in fucking blood, and I was like, oh fuck. So then he hits the paradigm shift. Brody kicks out at fucking 1, which I audibly screamed, what?
Yep.
And then Moxley goes fucking ballistic, and then hits the paradigm shift again, but he hits like, so he calls it the Death Rider in New Japan, and he kind of does it like that where he lifts them up more and kind of spike DDTs them.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, he did like the Death Rider version, and he's done it a few times. I think he hit Darby Allin with the crazy spike one off the second rope or something. It looked fucking gnarly when he did it.
Yeah.
So he hits him with that one, kicks out at 2, and then he locks in, which this is super awesome because when the build up to, because even though I didn't really like the Hager match, the build up to the Hager match was really good because they showed him training with Randy Couture, who was obviously like an MMA fighter, and boom, he hits him with a fucking rear naked choke and makes him pass out.
Speaking of chokes, real quick, you just revisiting this reminded me to take it a few matches back here. I forgot to mention this part of almost kind of in disbelief because I feel like you don't see it that often anymore. Was the Jungle Boy MJF? Jungle Boy put MJF, and they didn't say crippler, but they said crossface.
Oh, yeah.
Homeboy did the crippler crossface, and I'm just like, oh man. Like
Cody, I didn't say it, but Cody did like a variation of it. It was like a weird.
Was it Cody that did it, or I thought it was Jungle Boy during the MJF match?
They might have both did it because I think Cody did like a modified one.
Gotcha. See, I remember specifically the one with Jungle Boy, and kind of, I think it was more so just being surprised that he did that and had the technical capability. But like when I saw that, it was almost just taken back of like, whoa, that's a move. Like I feel like not because somebody's going to get hurt, but you don't really. I feel like you don't see it that often anymore after
True.
Chris Benoit. Like they treat him like Freddy Krueger. Everything's buried about him, you know.
Yeah. I think Daniel Bryan does it sometimes, but
It's an interesting submission maneuver. But for John Moxley to just pull that, like, I feel like that almost sets it up. Like it had a real fight feel. Like,
yeah.
What do you watch MMA at all? I'm not a big MMA head by any means.
Yeah, I'm not huge, but there was times where I'd watch some stuff. Usually I'll never buy it. I'll watch because usually the main fights end up being like 2 minutes long. So they're on Twitter literally right after. It interests me, but I can't say that I'm like a huge fan or anything.
I think it was the Diaz-McGregor fight. The first one where Diaz choked him out. I'm pretty sure Diaz choked him out, regardless, he made him tap if memory serves correctly here. And it kind of had a feeling to that of just like, you didn't expect that to be the ending. Yeah. And now, you know, there's damn well going to be way more to it. Like,
yep.
It was a very cool physical, the match actually told the story to it.
Yeah. They beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm pretty dense sometimes, but like the story was loud and clear. Like, I don't know. I fully jumped, like, I'm loving the lore out of it all right now with that.
Oh yeah, same.
Storyline in particular.
And I tweeted out that match was the biggest middle finger to WWE because obviously they kind of wasted both their talents. I mean, they had championships, whatever, but you could tell as soon as Moxley got let go and came through that they didn't let him even come close to what he wanted to be. And this is what we're getting now is Moxley to what he was intended to be.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Like now that you see it, of just. If he didn't leave, how far would it have gone? Yeah, how bad, how damaging would that have been to where it's just like if he goes somewhere, he's laughed at? Like the example that comes to mind, because I just watched it on Netflix with my wife. You remember that movie Dick and Jane?
Yeah.
That part where he finally gets the interview after the company tanked and everything, and they bring him in. They see him like, oh my God, you're that guy, just to laugh at him.
Yep.
You know, if you stay with WWE and let it keep getting worse and worse and worse, where are you going to end up at?
Yeah, that's very, very true. So I'm glad these two dudes are finally getting their chance to shine like they're supposed to. You know,
absolutely.
And Brody Lee's from Rochester, New York, so he's from near where I'm from. You know, like,
didn't you say you had tickets and it got canceled because of quarantine?
Yeah, it was the first episode of Dynamite that got canceled due to the pandemic, and it was the one that he debuted as the Exalted One, and then Matt Hardy debuted the same night. And I was excited watching it, obviously, because I was like, this is fucking cool. And it was in Rochester, his fucking hometown. So I was like, I would have saw him debut as the Exalted One in his hometown. The pop would have been enormous.
It would have been, yeah, exactly that. Like I get kind of chills a little bit just thinking of just like that would be such an allowed arena.
I was like so excited but so bummed because I was like, I was supposed to see this live. It would have been fucking insane. Like
I was really excited because following the calendar, they stopped announcing dates because of COVID and everything, so we never got to see what would have come after Double or Nothing. But I was really bummed about this because Southern California, you know, with the Young Bucks posting on Twitter a while back, because people were asking them on Twitter, you know, when are you guys coming to California? And they just said springtime in California is great, or Ontario is great.
Right.
And so kind of thinking geographically of like, they're in Vegas right now. Granted, this wasn't in Vegas, but if they were in Vegas, like that's a 4-hour drive to Ontario right there. Like, yeah, all signs were pointing. Like I had a good chunk of money ready to like spend on like
yes.
You know, the floor side tickets. Like I was ready.
Yeah, it's a bummer. You know, they'll reschedule it eventually. You know, who knows? Fuck knows when. But I'm excited because I've seen NXT live. I went to Raw. It wasn't NXT live or a takeover. It was like a house show, but it was still cool. I've seen a couple of those.
I mean, getting to go in general, like, dude, I didn't get to go to my first wrestling show until I was maybe 23 or 24, and it was on the road to WrestleMania too.
Oh wow. Yeah, I saw a couple of WWE house shows too. Dude, I was very spoiled because there was a promotion that would run shows in my area. And this is how I found out about the Young Bucks, because I saw them wrestle the Dudley Boys for this promotion's tag championship. It was just like a local federation, but they always had awesome indie talent. Like I saw Candice and Joey Ryan there. I saw Joey Gargano wrestle I saw AJ Styles wrestle with the Young Bucks like
my God,
2 months before he moved to WWE, and in the same night I saw Kenny Omega team with the Young Bucks in a crazy ass fucking match. So it's like I've seen Roddy wrestle.
You've seen
like
quite a bit, man. You've been around this
Yeah.
for a long time. Like as a kid, like
I was spoiled. You know, I could drive a half an hour or down the street to see these crazy fucking. I saw Dudley's versus Bucks twice, and it was fucking awesome.
I mean, granted, I can't say I'm not spoiled, man. I'm living here in Southern California. I just don't think I keep my ear to the ground enough. Like, we have, correct me if I'm wrong, PWGs out here, aren't they?
Yep.
And we have the Battle of LA out here and everything. Like,
Yep.
I could easily say, like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm spoiled as well. It's just I haven't kept my ear to the ground long enough. I've known about PWG for a while, and I didn't know how big of a deal that Battle of LA was, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's a huge tournament every year.
I mean, if I can get the opportunity to go sometime in the future, I absolutely want to.
The only thing that's kind of a bummer about PWG now is that it's not a bummer because they're in like a super nice venue, but before they were in this like Legion Hall, and that's where they were always, and it would always sell out because they only have the one show a month. It's just basically they have a pay-per-view every month.
Yeah.
But
and it's a small little space too. They don't have the most room for everybody.
Well, not anymore. They have like a really nice venue now. I think I haven't really watched since like everyone, like the indies got cleansed from NXT and then AEW starting.
Yeah,
not totally, but obviously a lot of the talent moved on.
I mean,
so
I haven't been. I don't know. Just looking from like other older pictures, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but like Keith Lee was a champion. Kevin Owens was a champion in PWG. Like, you know, Roddy, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole. Like, you know, all the dudes who are in NXT or AEW now.
It's crazy because, like, I've gone through some PWG history reading, and some of the names that come through there, it almost like, God, I slept on this for so long. Like, these people were practically in my backyard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I missed the same federation I was talking about. Brody Lee was champion for a while because obviously he's from upstate New York. Kevin Owens was champion until he went to WWE, and I missed out on all those. So I can relate because I missed out on a ton of the people who are some of my favorite wrestlers wrestle in my backyard, and I totally missed it. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure we could always like form a never-ending list of like shoulda, coulda, woulda types of like situations or people. You know?
That's for sure. And then we end the night with the Stadium Stampede match. Matt Hardy and the Elite versus the Inner Circle. And
right out
let
the
me
gate,
tell you,
if you had to pick like one highlight from this match, what was it? Like just one. You got to pick.
Pick one. It might be the finish.
Okay.
The finish was insane. But
Dude.
if I didn't pick the finish, the Matt Hardy stuff in the pool.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God! Even like the version 1, like he fully acknowledged it. It's just like I don't know if you can do that, but this is so sick.
Well, they changed it because it used to be Matt Facts, and they made it Matter Facts. So it was like Matter of Fact, but it was Matter Facts.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Like even when he came up the first time, just like full Hardy Boys style, it was just like what? Oh my gosh! And then like they had the camera.
Underwater?
Underwater.
And he's doing the Hardy Boy thing?
Yep. Just like, oh my God, he's just going for it. And then like, I don't know if you noticed it, but they had a note on the side of the facts where it's like, Matt Hardy can hold his breath for 367 seconds.
Yeah. It was that your favorite part, or was there a different part?
That was definitely the favorite part. But also, since we're on this match here real quick, and while I don't want to forget,
yes,
we were talking about the animals and everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, things that hurt Sammy Guevara getting hit by that golf cart. So Hangman Page coming out on a horse, my thought is, oh my God, where are you going with this? You can't run him over with a horse. You can't do that.
Yeah, it was in this one I feel okay about because he's in a football stadium that's like open-ended, you know, like obviously he's not confined to a space. Like it's fine, you know, like, you know, the horse was not in danger or any discomfort. Like,
yeah,
you know, he got out there and obviously this match is it was recorded, I think, on Friday or something, or sometime during the week. Like,
yeah,
none of this was live. Obviously they had to edit it together to make it look the way it looked. There's no way they could have pulled this off live. So they could have even done this completely separate from anything else. You know what I mean? And, you know,
yep.
And also, like, before we even got to that part, the entrances were like a football game. You know, they come out with like the smoke tunnels, and there's fucking cheerleaders out there and a band, and the inner circle are in full football gear.
Dude, just like the starting of that match where like they finally started the match. Also, there's a wrestling ring in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
That was weird enough.
Hilarious.
Like seeing that, I was just like, okay, like this could have just been a false count anywhere match. I didn't know it needed an actual ring. But they wall of death each other.
Yes.
Like they all just charge
Amazing.
each other. I'm like, oh my god, this is just like what? This is caveman.
Yeah, and I love because they played into obviously, like I talked about at the end of Dynamite, Hangman walked off, and then they're out there, and Hangman's not there, and then the Bucks are like, dude, where the fuck is Hangman? You know what I mean? And then Kenny's like, don't worry about it. And then he shows up on the fucking horse, and then they kind of recreate the golf cart spot, but Adam Page is on a horse.
And then next you've got, Hager finds him in a bar.
Oh yeah, because he stops. He can't find. You see him like 10 minutes later,
right outside of the bar.
He's like, Sammy, and I'm like, oh my god, he's still looking for him. And then he goes into the bar, and dude, the fucking scene, the bar fight. I mean, this whole thing was like 45 minutes long. It was like a mini action movie. It's fucking
it really
insane.
was. Like when I was looking at the end of the pay-per-view thinking like, okay, I'm almost done. Like, are you kidding? I have so much left on this. Yeah.
And so before this, I was like, oh, this is a solid pay-per-view. It wasn't amazing yet. There were some really cool matches, but I was like, this was solid. But this threw the whole pay-per-view over the fucking moon for me because dude, just okay. So obviously they do the bar fight. Hangman backflips off the bar, backflips over the fucking pool table, and then Hager like Uranagis him on the pool table, and then Kenny comes and saves him. And then, well, before that, he slides him across. Hager slides Hangman across the bar like a fucking Western movie. Which, as soon as he put him on the bar, I was like, no, there's no way they're doing this, and they did it. And I was like, what? And then obviously they have Kenny comes out and saves them, hits the pool stick over his back, and then they have a crazy fucking fight. They smash like 10 bottles over his head, and he's still standing there. And then he hits him with the high knee, the V trigger, and then I loved seeing this. Hangman doing the buckshot lariat, but instead of the top rope, he flips over Omega and hits him with it. And then they serve each other drinks. Hangman with the whiskey,
milk,
Omega with the milk.
I was just like, at first, it's still gross no matter what, drinking milk. But like, at first I saw him drinking, I'm like, oh, that's grimy. But like, this fits his character. And then like, I realized, oh wait, no, this is swapping. This is even better. Kenny Omega would drink milk.
Yep, exactly. And then another note, I think it was Matt Jackson. Matt Jackson climbed up the ladder in the Elite colors and then does a fucking moonsault off the ring post. What the fuck?
The ring post or the goal post?
Oh, the goal post. Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say that goal post spot was insane.
Dude, nuts.
Like, as wrestlers, like, they just got to do so many things that just, like, nobody else is ever going to get to do. They have so much at their disposal right now. Like, AEW is very fortunate to be in the position that they are because 100%. Of everything that Tony Khan can bring to the table. Because this whole arena right now, like, you got to assume, like, they're probably running, like, with very minimal costs right now.
Yeah.
Besides, just keeping the lights on, but.
Yeah, they're just paying the bills they would have to pay anyway. They're just getting use out of it because nothing else is coming there, you know?
Exactly. Like, it's sick. That whole arena, like, I'm glad I'm glad the way they did it. I'm glad they did it the way that they did because I was kind of thinking of like, what is this going to be like? I started running through my mind of like, do you remember? I think it was a Sunday Night Heat match, like right before a main pay-per-view where Mankind and The Rock.
Oh yeah, did it empty?
Yeah. And I was kind of wondering if it was going to be like that. I didn't know that it meant like the football arena and everything else. Oh yeah. You know?
As soon as they announced this, I was like, this is going to be bonkers, and they
delivered.
They over delivered, I think, because they gave me stuff I never thought I would see. Because obviously we talked about the pool thing with Matt Hardy, but after that they set up like the guardrail on top of the tables and like hit him with it through it and everything. But then he comes back and rings Ortiz in the bell and then tapes him to the wheelchair and then locks Santana in the like ice machine freezer thing.
Dude. Going back to the hot tub, one of the things that first came through my mind, seeing that existed in an arena like that, of imagine like, yeah, see, honey, going to the Jacksonville Jags game, gonna go sit in the hot tub with the boys today.
Gonna
Like,
go chill
what?
Going to go chill in the pool while I'm watching football.
Oh my God. It was one of the, like, I couldn't believe that existed in the arena.
No, yeah, it was funny because I was watching it with my wife and one of our best friends, Ava, who lives with us, and she was like, "There's a pool in the fucking stadium," and I was like, "I guess so. It's right there." So
when you got the money and not a winning team, I guess ball out where you can.
Oh.
Hey, I'm sorry, I don't know enough about football. Don't come for my head.
I know nothing about football other than the rules and some of the teams, I guess.
Fantasy football can be sick.
I did do fantasy football at a job once when I had a 9-to-5er, and it was fun. I was terrible at it because I didn't know who anyone was, but it was fun.
I used to play fantasy football for a couple years with some friends, and I've never been a big drinker, but the way to get them out was usually involving beer. Let's go get a drink here somewhere. So for me, it was cool. Fantasy football works because they all love football. I love pizza. We can go to a pizza place. Like,
fair enough.
Get to hang out with friends. Like, what more did you need, you know?
That's very fair.
Fantasy football is also not hard when you don't care about football or who's in the game or have any emotional ties. Outside of that, you could actually win some crazy money for it, and I'm here for it.
Fair enough.
Dude, fantasy football. It's fun.
And then they get back. It's the Bucks versus Jericho, pretty much.
Yep.
Nick is pelting Jericho with footballs. And then Jericho throws Nick into the Jaguar head, and then the mascot comes out. Jericho knocks him out with the Judas effect, which is hilarious.
I hate that finisher so much.
I mean, it works. Sometimes when it works, it works. Like the first time he hit it in Omega, I was like, oh, shit. So like sometimes when it comes out of nowhere, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, you know?
The part where I feel like the part is when it comes out of nowhere, it's just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
like,
it's got to hit just right, and the person has to sell it right, for sure.
Yeah, the person, it's more so on who takes it, like, how are you going to sell this? Because Jericho kind of sells it pretty well, but you're right on, like, on who takes it.
Because, like, when Omega got hit with it, it's like, oh, he got fucking rocked.
Hangman for the inaugural championship match right there.
Yeah.
He hit it with the Judas effect, and it kind of went from there. Like,
yeah,
you know, I don't know. I remember watching that match and just thinking, like, how is that the finisher? Like, out of everything that he has in his arsenal, like, that was it. You decided this is the winner.
Yeah, I mean, they sold it with some promos and stuff. And like I said, if the person sells it right, then it looks, and it comes out of nowhere like it should, it looks good. You know, it depends on the situation, obviously.
I miss the Walls of Jericho. Are they still even allowed to call it the Walls of Jericho, or can they only call it a Boston Crab now?
I think he's done it, and they've called it the Walls of Jericho, I think. I might be wrong, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong and just completely have missed it, but yeah. It's always like, I don't even think they call it a Boston Crab, but I know
it's a Boston Crab.
Right.
Yeah,
I know it's the right term for it, but like, I just don't know what they actually call it. You know what I mean?
Oh, they might have called it the Lion Tamer.
Maybe.
Because he kind of started doing the thing where he put like the knee in the back like he used to in like WCW.
You're right. Yeah.
I can't remember if they ever called it the Walls or if they called it the Lion Tamer. I really don't remember.
And I found out that there's a difference between the Walls of Jericho and like the other way that I guess he does it. There's two variations.
Yeah. The Lion Tamer, he does it, but he like inverts his knee into the back, like putting more pressure on the back. It makes it like a little more brutal, pretty much.
But the Walls is just, I don't know. I think it's just like the nostalgia kick of the Walls of Jericho is just it was unfuckwithable.
After that, Jericho hits that 2 count, and then he argues with Aubrey Edwards, and he challenges and asks for a replay, and they go to the instant replay booth, which was fucking amazing.
Shout out to the editing on that part was just unreal. And
then also, as this was happening, Matt Jackson is doing the fucking over-under Northern Lights suplex across. They edited. Obviously, he didn't do it to the whole field, but they edited it so it looks like he did it from one end zone to the other.
The full 100 yards, and I was even thinking, like, wait, I don't remember seeing that. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, they kept cutting back to it, which is amazing. And then after he gets to the end zone, he spikes Sammy's head in the end zone, and then does the dance. And then Rick Knox gives him a penalty flag for celebrating or whatever. And then he super clicks Rick Knox, which is kind of like So Rick Knox came from PWG too. He was like a super popular referee at PWG because he would get involved in matches sometimes. Like he would do a suicide dive on people sometimes and stuff.
Yeah, not afraid to get his hands dirty.
Yeah, so, and he always had like a weird relationship with the Bucks. So him getting super kicked by him was like a cool nod to them, which was funny. And then they ended up doing that spot where they set up Jericho on the table, and fucking Matt runs down all the steps and then jumps off the fucking arena step or the arena guardrail through the table, which was insane.
That spot was like, yeah, that kind of just sitting there like, oh my God, like, yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Just, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, and he's laying on the ground, Hangman comes over the line marker and then just goes over his fucking crotch across his face, which was hilarious.
Everything about this match altogether, just like from start to finish, like it could have been really goofy, and there's definitely going to be like a lot of people mad and everything about that, but like, I don't know. All in all, I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, me too. And then like getting near the end, Sammy gets woken up by the sprinklers and he thinks he won. And then as he comes to, here's Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega with the fucking golf cart again.
Oh my God.
Which the look in his eyes as he sees it was amazing. Obviously they don't hit him with it because he jumps into the stands. They chase him in the stands. They're climbing up the stands, everything through the whole stadium. And then we get the debut of Neo One, Vanguard's successor, which I thought was amazing that we got the upgraded version of Vanguard or whatever.
I was really happy to just see that Vanguard still made it through the cut of everything. Like,
same. I loved Vanguard.
Yeah, like it's just a whole like part of it because being a WWE guy, knowing that there was some of my friends, the ones that invited me to go to Lucha Underground, they were very heavily into the indies, so they were super aware of like Woken, Matt Hardy, and everything. Yep. So this is me picking up bits and pieces from them and going to YouTube and like, what the hell are they talking about?
That was like the only thing I'd watch of TNA is when because he like invented the cinematic matches, like a few years ago, and I would only watch those. Those were the only thing I'd watch of TNA, and I was like, this is amazing, this is hilarious, like way to go to Matt Hardy to reinvent himself over all these years, and he became. That year, he was the most popular thing in wrestling. The Bucks and the Hardys had a crazy feud in Ring of Honor. And then they did a ladder match where the Bucks won the titles back from them the night before they debuted back at WrestleMania to win the Raw tag team titles or whatever it was.
Dude, the pop for that was just insane. Like even watching that live, like it was me and a group of friends, and that was a pretty interesting moment. It was very cool. Full-grown adult men just screaming.
Yes. And and then obviously WWE never really let him shine like he could have, like they did the one cinematic match, but it was very whatever. They it was him, but with handcuffs on, they didn't let him do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be WWE right there. Like, I don't know. I was surprised that it made it as far as it did, and even stemming like into the fun house. Like, I was surprised that was allowed to go as far as it did. There was some pretty, like...
The Firefly Funhouse was probably one of the best things WWE's done in years. It was incredible.
It was great. Like, it was disturbing in a way. Like, again, my wife watches from time to time with me, and, like, she would see that and be like, what the hell are you watching? Like, shut it off. Like, I don't like it.
But when you have John Cena going, hey, I want to do this, Vince is not going to say no. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
They had the advantage there with that.
Yeah. Like Hardy Boys in general, like I don't know, Matt's individual stuff for sure, but I feel like Matt and Jeff, everybody's always going to be hesitant on having it too much invested into Jeff. I feel like.
Yeah, he's kind of a wild card. I think he's doing his like swan song run with WWE, and he'll be done, I guess.
Didn't he just get busted on the wellness policy again?
He did a few months ago, I think, but he went to rehab and he came back, and this has been his like return since then. I
mean, I hope for his sake he gets healthy and follows through with it, but
same.
It sucks because like tag team wise, they're insane.
Yeah, they can still go even though they're older,
Oh, exactly. You just got to set them in the right environment for it.
Exactly.
If there's a way, because I think Devon just retired, but like if I could have like if I could have a dream match of like old senior citizens at this point. It would just let me get one more tables, ladders, chairs match if somehow that was even possible.
Dude, it's a bummer. It's a bummer because the only like old school WWE tag team that the Bucks never wrestled. Because like I said, I saw them wrestle at the Dudleys, and they wrestled them in other promotions too. And then obviously the Hardys and the Bucks had the feud in Ring of Honor. They never got to wrestle Edge and Christian, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, and that one will never get to probably happen. There's no way that they'll let go of Edge. I feel like Edge is too much of a loyalist.
Yeah, for sure. I think they confirmed that he got an offer from AEW, but he ended up turning it down.
I'm not surprised. That's too much unfinished business left in WWE to go to a whole new ring.
Yeah, it's his home. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Neo 1 comes out, and then Omega hits Sammy with the most insane one-way angel off the fucking dude. I don't even know how high this was. It had to have been like probably like 30 or 40 feet. Like it was a drop.
It was for sure.
Like at first when you see it, you're like, oh, that's crazy. But when they show the replay from the other angle, you're like, that is far down.
Yeah.
It's in a crazy fucking spot.
One of those moments, like if it wasn't as edited, it's just like, is everyone okay?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell they definitely protected it. It was like a huge crash pad under the box, or whatever. But still it looked
it's just
insane.
The uncertainty of like you could have everything right, but just life has its ways,
Oh yeah, for sure. The Elite win, which I kind of, the Elite have been kind of beaten down since the beginning of All Elite Wrestling, so it makes sense they came out with a victory. And the most interesting part is they all stand together at the end. Hangman Page doesn't go off; he stands with them. You know what I mean? Like. And I do think we'll get the turn eventually. I think whenever they lose the tag titles, Hangman will turn, and I think it'll be like Omega versus Hangman or something. But
I think it'll be a big blame game. Like the build-up, I thought we were going to get it already a lot sooner when the Bucks went against Kenny Omega and Hangman
they teased
for the
it.
belts.
They teased it hard. But
God,
I think it would have came if Blood and Guts happened. I think it would have, because that was supposed to happen, a couple weeks after. The pandemic started canceling stuff, so
yeah, exactly. I mean,
we'll see.
Once this pandemic is all over and things get back to normal and shows are going again, like I'm excited to see. Everything seems to be in good hands. Like there's nothing to stop and worry. Like, oh, I hope that, like everything stays okay. Like if everything that's transpired so far is a sign of what's to come, AEW is going to be just fine with this, man.
Oh yeah, they've been killing it even since the pandemic. So I'm very stoked to see them, because that was like one of the strongest thing about AEW is their crowds are always hot. So it's kind of a bummer to see all these like huge debuts and moments without a crowd. But
the quarantine happened, and all I'm thinking is just like, how do you have wrestling without a crowd? Can that even work? And yeah, I've come to find out it can. It very much so. Like
very true.
Even just this pay-per-view being a definite, like how I was mentioning earlier about like. It seemed like mics were placed just right with the crowd, and it sounded like huge, not huge, but like it sounded like there was people there.
Yeah, for sure. Especially during the Stampede match, the way they interjected the audio from like the crowd probably watching in like the Daily's Place part. It was probably like on the screen or something.
Yeah, because there's a few parts too where it's like I even questioned like, no. The more I kept listening to it, I don't think they did. But there was a couple parts where I stopped and thought like, are they playing like pre-recorded audio over this?
Yeah, but there's no way they could have, made it match up. It would have been impossible,
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked out that way.
So if you were to give this pay-per-view a rating 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I still want to say like probably an 8 or 9. Probably going to lean towards the 8, mainly just because the two matches like. They didn't deliver as high as everything else, but like every notion got hit. I feel like a lot of the storylines like either progressed or just blossomed into something even bigger. Like I don't think like the Cody Rhodes one we were talking about there. Like we don't think that's done by any means. Like there's so much. I feel like that's just like not even the end of it yet. I don't feel like that's an end mark. I feel like that's just gonna make a pun here. I feel like that's just a crossroads to this story. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree, and I would be about the same. I think I would have given it like an 8.5, just because even though there was the two matches that were like whatever, the matches that really shined for me at least. This Stadium Stampede match is easily the best thing I've seen wrestling since this whole pandemic has started.
It's one of those, like, don't make a regular out of matches like that, but, like, when just the right stipulation comes up, so sick.
Because Hardy in a promo teased doing something called the Elite Deletion with Jericho, and I still hope that happens, like doing a Broken Universe style match at the Hardy compound between Jericho and Matt Hardy would be phenomenal. So I hope that happens.
That would be something else. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with the Elite altogether. I mean, maybe not the most popular opinion, but I'm actually kind of glad that the storyline's over. At least I hope it's over.
I think there's going to be more with it, but I think it'll kind of take a backseat for a while. You know what I mean? I think they'll go on to other stuff, but I think we'll end up seeing the Inner Circle versus the Elite again eventually. Like once they do the War Games or the Blood and Guts match, I think it'll come back to probably be the same kind of thing. But maybe not. Maybe they will go away from it, but I feel like they will come back to it.
Maybe just build it up a little bit stronger, because I guess like the point of the 5-man faction, like I guess when the Inner Circle came about, all I thought was like, okay, modern day, like Bullet Club, NWO, like they're gonna run this place.
Yeah.
Jericho got gold. The tag team belts got introduced, so I thought they're gonna take those. The TNT title now, like I feel like that could have been a reality of it all too, where just Inner Circle was just running everything, and I don't know. I'm curious to see where 2 5-man groups coincide. Like, make it a battle of power. Like, make it.
Yeah. Well, right now they have because obviously Cody's part of the Elite too. So right now they have 2 of the major titles. You know, they have the TNT title and they have the tag titles. You know.
True. Yeah, but like I guess like that villain heel stable part of it, I guess is maybe it's overdone. Who knows?
I like the Inner Circle, but it's definitely interesting to see where they go forward with this, because I think they'll be they have to move on to different stuff. You know what I mean? So
like if the Inner Circle is sick, but they just got to give them like more value, I guess, behind it. I don't know if that's the right word to put it, but just like if I wish there was more belts, because I like the championships where they're at right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, just something to add more to it, more depth.
The thing that's crazy is because Santana and Ortiz are an incredible tag team, and they haven't really even let them go full out yet. Like they feel like they had a really good match with the Young Bucks, and a couple other good matches, but they haven't let them like really go, because they had an insane rivalry in TNA with them and the Lucha Brothers. Like it lasted like months, and it was like some of the best tag team wrestling there was.
It almost feels like they still get the lackey treatment sometimes, but Sammy Guevara gets pushed so hard. It's like, honestly, no shots at Sammy, but like that dude looks like a younger T Mills that started wrestling. Like
he is so good though.
He's incredible. But like I don't know. I look at Santana and Ortiz, it's just like, what are you doing? Like it's like that meme of the guy poking with the stick, like, do something.
Yeah, I would love to see them get a title run and them to be able to shine in some matches. Like, well, obviously they were great in this. Everyone played their part so perfectly. Like, even because Hager has looked good when he doesn't have to wrestle a full match. When he has to wrestle a full match, it's kind of whatever. But him being like the strong arm guy, because the dude is huge. He's a ginormous dude. So in the way he was shown in this match was fucking perfect, so.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes you can't, like, you hit the nail on the head. There's not much more to add to it,
Yeah, for sure. So I usually end these things with a little thing I call Metalcore Minute. So it's basically a minute, and you just list off whatever you've been into, whether it's video games or movies or TV shows or, bands you're into or whatever. So it's just a minute, whatever comes to your head. Are you ready?
It's going to be rough. It's going to put me on the spot a little bit. I did type up just a few things of like, man, what have I really been doing with quarantine here? So, I mean, really not too much, but yeah, I feel like I'm pretty ready. It's going to be disappointing. I don't watch too much new stuff, so don't think I'm going to start dropping all the heat on you guys.
Nah, it's all good, man. All right, go.
All right, first off, Warzone with the group chat. Second, That 70s Show. It's sick. Still holds up. It's all on Netflix. Third, I revisited the entire Kick-Ass comic book series. That one still holds up, especially Kick-Ass 3. Lots of Euro metal. And man, that's about it. I don't know. I sat there trying don't put me on the spot like that. I haven't even seen new movies.
No, that's awesome, man.
Dude, that 70s show. I don't know if you ever watched that, but
oh yeah, we watched a few episodes a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it's still hilarious. Have you watched The Ranch?
I have not. My brother-in-law told me it was really funny and that I should get into it.
Okay, so it's Ashton Kutcher is the star of it, but Danny Masterson is in it, and there's a ton of that 70s show cameos. Ashton Kutcher, I think, is a big producer on it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that 70s show, but they're ranchers.
Okay.
But it gets a lot more serious than that 70s show was. So I think it's all over now. I think it's completely done. So I think you can watch everything from front to back on it, but it's really, really good. I highly suggest it.
That's one of my worst weaknesses right there is actually finishing a show or starting a show and finishing it. Man, I get pretty shunned pretty hard on this one. I still have never finished The Office. I've never finished It's Always Sunny.
So with The Office, this is what you gotta do. You gotta skip a lot of the middle seasons that are kind of whatever, and then just do the last couple seasons, because the last couple seasons, especially the last season, it ties up so well. The season finale is flawless, and it ends I was crying at the end. It's beautiful.
I know Michael leaves and everything, but yeah, I don't know. I've never sat down to fully watch that one. Usually when shows are a lot more active, I don't have time to watch TV shows.
It's hard.
It was a pretty good routine of come home, hurry up, edit a video before Tessa, my wife, gets home because she works a little bit later than I do, and just kind of go from there. But I never had the time to sit down and watch much TV. Or I'd get super into something. Last one was It's Always Sunny. And I started things got busy and I never finished watching any of it. Hilarious show. Just never.
That show is funny. I've never finished that one either. I think I've only watched the first 4 or 5 seasons.
Man, I can't even tell you.
It's a funny ass show.
I feel the last show I fully watched from start to finish. I'll probably revisit it now talking about it. But How I Met Your Mother.
The ending of that series sucks.
Oh, we don't talk about that one. We only talk about the YouTube ending.
That ending is perfect. Thank you.
Yes, that's the only one that needs to exist. Pause it and just go from there.
Because I was the same. I was kind of the way you are with Office. I only watched the first 4 seasons because those seasons are pretty much nearly perfect. And then it doesn't get bad, but it's just not as good. So I kind of just fell out. And then I just finally was I got to finish this thing. I'm a completionist, so I like finishing things. So
yeah.
I was I got to finish. I got to see how this ends. And then it ended, and my friend loves How I Met Your Mother. And I was oh, I'm finally going to finish it. And he's okay, let me know when you get to the end. And I was I finished it. I was what the fuck was that? And he goes, okay, YouTube this. And I go, they filmed that, and they didn't put that as the ending. I was fuck you guys. Fuck you.
God, I still remember, I got choked up watching the finale, the actual, I hate saying the actual finale, but
yeah,
the bad ending. I still got choked up watching that. I'm just kind of irritated too. Of that's how you end it?
Yeah.
What? But I don't know. That show was going on for so long. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think it was 7 seasons or 8 seasons, maybe.
Did you ever see that movie, This Is Us?
The show?
Yeah, or not This Is Us. This Is the End. Sorry.
Yes.
That part where Jason Segel at James Franco's party, him and Kevin Hart are talking about it, and Kevin Hart's yeah, that's why you know why you're number one. And but I think he's low key roasting that show.
Wow, that's funny.
Because the way I don't know, go revisit that scene, but it's the way he was talking about it, it's it's just the same old thing. I go to the kitchen, I eat some cake, and my wife's did you eat the cake? And you're what cake? Or something stupid like that. It's just I'm pretty sure that's How I Met Your Mother.
Huh. Yeah, I'll need to rewatch that. That movie is really funny too.
Because I don't know what else. Yeah, it had to have been. I think it was obvious because without saying the name, because even Kevin Hart's yeah, that's why you guys are number one. Unless Jason Segel did another hit TV show.
I don't think so.
Dude, Jason Segel is a funny guy.
He is hilarious.
Last off topic part here. Did you ever see SLC Punk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot he's in that.
Dude, young Jason Segel.
He's also, I believe that's Seth Rogen is in Donnie Darko as a bully when he's super.
I do remember that one. I pieced that one together reading it, and I went back and found that scene specifically.
Which is so weird.
How was he a bully? It's just stealing your weed and your lunch for future munchies. and just
Yeah.
walking away.
Yeah, so
Fucking
weird.
horrible laugh.
So before we get out of here, is there anything you want to plug?
Man, it's hard with quarantine right now. I got nothing to really plug, man. Like I could give shout outs. Go watch Scoped Exposure. Go watch Titan films. You know, it's hard to say right now, you know.
Yeah, I know.
When quarantine, it's like, what do I got going on? Well, I'll be on my couch tomorrow, and you know, LDB sets. I guess I could plug that. They're coming.
Yeah. You just released another one the other day, right?
Yeah, I just released Judiciary yesterday, and that one went over really well. Some Texas-based magazine, zine, did a write-up, and they featured the Judiciary video on there in their article.
That's
And it was really cool. Like they said something really nice that made my day because I was really stressed about that set in particular. There was a lot of people on the stage, and it was hard to get certain shots at sometimes at certain points, or somebody would be standing in front of that back of the room camera that I have.
Yep.
I kind of feel like that's like a pivotal changing camera right there. It's a safe area where I can use that to switch the cameras.
Right.
There was a lot of points where somebody was standing in front of it.
Oh.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, it was one thing after another. Like one camera would clear up, so I'd like have the weight off of me for that for a second, and then like that would happen. It's like, please cut me a break. Like I'm defeated here. Like please.
No.
But somebody, that magazine zine posted their write-up about it, and their last sentence of it was, without giving out too much, it presents the perfect representation of what it's like to be a part of LDB Fest. And it was just like, reading that, It's like, man, if you knew how much I stressed over that and how much I thought this wasn't like, thinking like, am I editing this right? Am I doing okay? Am I really like, I don't know. It's not just a matter of switching cameras to beats. It's just like you want to capture the entire vibe, like,
right.
Yeah.
But
anyhow, tying back all into it, LDB sets are coming. Audio's slowly but surely trickling in here, and gonna keep everything releasing. I think that's just about the only thing I can plug for the time being.
Fair enough, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on here. Like getting this chance to finally like have a long conversation with you. I think this has been the longest catch-up conversation we've had in quite some time here. Like,
for sure.
I'm stoked on it. I appreciate being on here. I
Me
love
too.
that you're doing the podcast, and
it's nice.
The best of it.
It's nice to do stuff like this. Honestly, it's good to keep in touch with people, or I've been meeting new people through and stuff too.
Dude, yeah, like you're doing something new. You're teaching yourself a podcast. You're getting to keep in touch with friends. You're making new friends. Like this is everything that's healthy. Like any quarantine tips, it's doing what you're doing right now, making something productive out of it.
Trying.
Exactly. Don't just let yourself sit around doing nothing.
For sure. Awesome, man.
All right, dude. Well, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate you.
No problem, man. I appreciate you. Thanks, man.
All right. Later.
That's it for this episode. As always, if you want to support the podcast, follow us on social media at Metalcore Nerds, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Follow on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to support monetarily, go to redcircle.com/metalcore-nerds/donations. Until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds.